time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, one and all, to a Sunday evening edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. My name is Keaton Weiss, here with Russell Dobular. There you are.
Hello.
Making a grand entrance from the new room, the new studio, the new space.
I have recovered my Donbass.
The Donbass. The Donbass has now been conquered.
Recovered.
Yes.
It has been conquered. The Ukrainians have been driven out.
Yeah, it's been
I have liberated it. So this is the other room. So this is my general fiction bookcase. This is my sci-fi horror bookcase. Hence all the nerdy stuff on it.
Beautiful. Well, it looks good.
Got the alien face hugger and all that on there.
It looks good. It looks good.
If you look up, I was telling Keaton about this. If you look up there, you'll see like a Darth Vader. All right, so that's a vintage Darth Vader phone. If you hook that up and you call it, it actually plays the Imperial March. The head turns to offer you the handset, and it does the Darth Vader iconic breathing.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool setup there. I'm still got my old set for now. I hope to work on mine soon. Before we get started, folks, we got a very, very full show tonight. We are doing limited shows this week because we got our live shows coming up this week. We have a Jose Vega fundraiser on Thursday, and then we have our live show in New York City on Sunday. So there will be no streams either of those days. So these next few shows, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, might run a little longer because we want to get as much content out in a limited schedule this week. But our first engagement is on Thursday. We're going to get to that in a second. First things first, Russell. Right hand, 881 on YouTube, 892 on Rumble. Left hand. All righty. Well, we do have an appointment this Thursday evening in the Bronx at 8 o'clock at Bronxlandia. We are going to be there with Jimmy Dore and this guy who's running for Congress. We're doing a fundraiser for him. He joins us right now on his way to jail. He's been arrested. He's in the back of a police car.
Yep.
And, some of that fundraiser is going to have to go to bail money, I guess. Show us your hand so we know you're not in custody.
There you go. I'm
there
good.
you go.
I'm
Beautiful.
Good. Hey, are you guys warming up?
But his hair is.
Oh,
that's right. That's right.
Are you guys warming up for Hassan Piker? I was told this is the Hassan Piker show. Right?
Yeah, right.
We're the warm-up act.
We're the warm-up act.
You're the warm-up act.
Yeah, new contract. Just started. First day.
First
day. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we are going to be with you, my friend, this Thursday. Jake, if you have that link to share, could you throw that up on the screen, please? We are going to be appearing at Bronxlandia with you and our mutual friend Jimmy Dore, of course. Tickets are on sale for that. While Jake gets that ready, do you want to share a little bit of knowledge about that event?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, people have generously donated from around the country who can't make it, and there are now 10 sponsored tickets that I just made public like minutes ago.
Okay.
And so if you go on that link, you'll see there's 10 tickets there that just say sponsored. They're free. You could just grab them up. Somebody paid for your general admission. There's only about 30 spots altogether left, so you want to grab them now.
Oh, wow. So we are almost out.
Yes, but we want to get them filled up. We want people to come. We want people to be there. It's going to be a good night. It's happening in the South Bronx in Hunts Point. Nice little spot, Bronx Landy. I think people will have a good time if they come. Jimmy Dore's coming, and it's a meet and greet as well. If you pay for the meet and greet ticket, you can come and meet Jimmy beforehand, as well as Russ and Keith and myself. That starts at 7:00, and it's going to be half-hour stand-up from Jimmy Dore, so not a full show, but a half-hour stand-up, and then it's going to break into a panel between the four of us, and it's going to be great. We'll be taking your questions. People can stand up and intervene if they're not happy with what they're hearing, I guess, and then we can all go throw eggs at AOC's office, who's right across the street from the venue. So
interesting.
It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah,
well, I'm doing a stand-up set too. I'm opening up. Russell and I are both writing speeches. We're emceeing it, and then we're doing the panel. Yeah. So I have some good stuff.
Great.
Now, is it true what they say that very much like Samson, your radical values were in your hair, and now you're going to sell us out?
Oh, somebody said that I've been properly shown now, like a sheep. And honestly, yeah, it's just been interesting, a little bit. AIPAC's been knocking at my door recently, and I've been in the Richie Torres tradition of when they knock, I get on my knees. So it's just been like, yeah, the curls kind of.
I hear Richie is the kind of guy who doesn't even give you a reach around. It's the word around Congress.
Well. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
That's why Lindsay doesn't roll with him anymore.
These people could be my colleagues.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're causing Jose reputational harm.
Yeah, relational harm.
He's enduring severe reputational harm.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to find the balance between being funny and being serious. So
there you go.
It's a very thin line.
We've been working on that for 4 years. We've
been working on it for a while. Yes. No, yeah. Russell's writing a speech. I'm going to write an outline of a speech. We're going to MC it. So we're going to intro, I guess, Jimmy and then you, depending on the order. We'll figure it out. But yeah, it's going to be a really fun time.
Hey, Jose, you want to end your political career? Ask him about the joke I told him not to put on X.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
So there it is. VoteVega.nyc/door. There you go.
I don't know what I
mean, let that sink in. I told him it was too much.
You told me, Keaton?
No, yeah. Me. Oh, well, you told me too.
No, I told Keaton it was too much. The joke you wanted to put on X.
Oh, you mean just now before the show?
Yeah, just before
okay.
the show.
I didn't know. One. Okay, I didn't. Yeah, that one we didn't. Well, Jose doesn't know about that, so we won't implicate him in that. But we have 30 tickets left. Is that what you're saying? So we got a pretty big crowd already. So space is limited. VoteVega.nyc/door. If you want to come on, our live show is sold out. That's on Sunday. But if you want to see us and you can't get in there, we'll be here too. And we'll make sure we say some fun shit for you all to make it worth it. But it's going to be worth it anyway. We got Jimmy, we got Jose. It's going to be a great time. And the reason you shaved your head, Jose, or the reason you cut your hair, I should say,
you
didn't shave your head.
It's not a skin fade, but
no. You still. The reason you cut your hair is because you are now officially on the New York ballot. So when we last left off with you, you had gathered enough signatures to the point where you felt extremely confident saying you're on the ballot. Now the window to challenge your signatures has now closed, which means you are on. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So just on the logistical side of things, the New York Board of Elections will certify everybody's independent body petitioning nominations probably tomorrow or Tuesday. If there have been no challenges, you just get right through. And anybody who wanted to challenge my petitions, it's too late because that deadline was last week. And that's also true for Diane Sayre, too. I believe her challenging deadline also passed, and we didn't get any challenges, unlike some of other people who are running for statewide office. So it looks like, we will be on the ballot, all the hard work that everybody did. And, I want to come on here first and just thank everybody. I know a lot of people from this show specifically came out that one weekend where we got over 700 signatures in that one day, to get me on the ballot. And it truly has been inspiring. People want to talk about grassroots and people power, but we did it. You proved it, whether you actually came out and petitioned or you donated or you just shared what we were doing on social media. Everybody here proved you can actually organize and get something done. So, that's true of myself. That's true of Diane. And, I just want to say I'm immensely proud of this community, this and everybody around the country who's watching what we're doing, because we truly are a national campaign. I think, I was just with Ray McGovern. I'll be publishing that on Twitter. And once I get off here, he's saying that there's people talking about us in North Carolina where he is, and there's people talking about us around the country. This specific race, nobody believes in the presidential election anymore. I mean, they all suck.
Right.
But they're looking at this congressional race and seeing, like, can we actually do something here? Can we actually make something happen? So
exactly.
Let's
we're proud of you, man. And I want to talk a little bit about
very proud.
this. Yeah, we're very proud, and very proud of all of everybody, our audience who showed up and helped out and volunteered and donated. It's a big accomplishment. Diane Sayre, who is a member of your party organization, she's running for Senate. She qualified for ballot access as well, right, statewide, which means she crossed the 45,000 signature threshold, which is new to this cycle, correct? Excuse me.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, actually, it was true 2 years ago, too.
That's right. Yeah.
What
first presidential cycle, should I say?
Yeah, exactly. First presidential cycle, which, I started, people saw that. You guys are going to talk about the Jill Stein stuff.
We're
right?
going to do it right now.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why I got you here, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I got
All
you
right.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go to this right now, actually, because
for it.
Jill Stein announced on Twitter, despite collecting 10 times more signatures than all other grassroots contenders, we appear to have fallen just shy of New York's oppressive ballot access requirements. We will continue the fight for democracy and voter choice in court. The heroic volunteer mobilization that collected an unprecedented 42,000 signatures in 6 weeks is a victory for the resistance to empire, oligarchy, and voter suppression. No, it's not. A victory would have been getting enough signatures to qualify for the ballots. So the threshold was 45,000. That was tripled from 15,000. That was Andrew Cuomo's fuck you to third-party candidates on the way out the door. So yes, they did try to rig it against third parties, and they were successful in almost all cases, as we'll see here, but not against Diane Sayre, who is Jose's running mate of sorts. You're not running for the same office, but you're on the same ticket. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And it's interesting because Diane needed the same requirements that Jill Stein needed.
Exactly.
And, I think everybody should be asking themselves right now, well, what was it about Diane Sayre that she got 70,000 signatures? That's the number we're publicly saying, 70,000. And I'm just saying that because I want to make sure I'm not going to get in trouble by saying, like, yes, right, 70,000, we can say that, Why did we get, 70,000 signatures? And, a lot of that was also, I was out there petitioning for myself. I know a lot of people who came out to petition for me didn't do this, but myself and some of our ringers, they were getting signatures for us, for Vega for Congress, and then they would flip the clipboard over and say, now, could you also sign for our friend Diane Sayre?
Right.
And, I think a total over the course of the 6 weeks, we had over 80 people come and petition for me. And then for Diane, we had over 130 people come out and petition, for Diane all across the state. And well, we did it. What can I say? It's just, we had a goal. We knew we did it 2 years ago. We had like 65 or 66,000 2 years ago. And we were telling ourselves, that's not going to be enough this time. There's no way. They let us get on the ballot once. Are they going to let us do it again? Also, we were kind of like, well, Jesus, are these two campaigns, mine and Diane's, like, are we going to be competing with each other? Like, how are we going to do this? But no, man, like, we truly have, like, people power, man, grassroots. It's actually been built, for Diane over the course of like 30 years of doing this. And, honestly, I was just taken aback that we were able to get both of us on the ballot in the way we did. And so I think people really
He froze.
that we can do this, so that's, there's way more I could say. I don't want this to seem like I'm rubbing it in Jill Stein's face or not. I'm not. And I'm saying this publicly. If Jill Stein or any third party person ever wanted to work together, we could do it. Let's do it. I do believe anybody who wants to be on the ballot, except Richie Torres, should be on the ballot, So,
Well, look, man, like, the point of this is not to rub it in Jill Stein's face. I want to make a point, though, that you guys not only have people power, but you have organization. Right. My father tried getting signatures for Jill Stein this cycle. He tried over the last weekend, and he said it was very confusing. He didn't know what to do with his signatures. Once he got them, they told him, oh, yeah, drive it to Poughkeepsie and meet this person here. It's like, It was chaos. When you enlisted people to volunteer, you said, okay, they're going to try to rig this against us, which means we have to, in the parlance of Keaton Weiss, dot every T and cross every I. So I always fuck it up.
Or as
we
our
have
once
to
and
be
future president might say, make it too big to rig.
too big to rig. But not only too big to rig, but too precise, too orderly to rig. You said, okay, we have to, because they're going to try and screw us, we have to organize that much better. So before you show up and say, I'm ready to go, and we give you a clipboard and a pen, no, we're going to make a video seminar. I'm going to have a meeting. If you can't attend the meeting, I'm going to record the video and I'll send you the video so that when you show up, you not only show up with enthusiasm, but you show up with knowledge and organization as to how to execute. Execute. That's the bottom line. Yep. You have to have execution. You have to be precise. That's how Shama Sawant won in Seattle. That's where third parties succeed. You have to execute flawlessly. You have to have tremendous discipline. And the fact that the LaRouche organization can go out and get 70,000 signatures, and the Greens, I'm sorry, this is to make a point that organization matters. They've been in New York for 30 years. They brag about their record in New York. They had a mayor of New Paltz win, which was near my hometown. That was their big claim to fame in New York. Like, this is supposed to be where the Greens are at their strongest, and they couldn't hit 45,000. Meanwhile, the LaRouchers, who people mock as, oh, they're a cult, they're this, they're that, they go out there, they get 70. Like, come on. For the people who ask, well, why don't you get behind Jill Stein? She's the only serious anti-imperialist candidate in the race. That's true, but I can't tell you to get involved with the campaign unless I trust the campaign with your time. And you proved that we could trust you with your time. Jill Stein proved the exact opposite. They could not get it together to overcome the hurdle. And it's an unfair hurdle. Yes, Andrew Cuomo's a fucking asshole. Yes, the Democrats try and screw third parties. We know that. We can either complain about that forever and get nowhere, or we can organize and execute the way you did.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, this is where we've gotten a lot of that feedback when we have made these arguments. Oh, support Jill Stein. Less support Cornell, but more support Jill Stein. Well, why? Why? That has really been the conversation going back to Marianne accusing the RBN guys of mansplaining to her, because Nick framed it very clearly as, well, we're working people. A lot of people got really burned on the Sanders campaign. Why should they support you? And she had a total meltdown at that question. But that has really been the question of this cycle. Because the first time we don't have a Sanders campaign, and in 2 cycles for everybody to be gathered around. But as your campaign demonstrates, that's also represents a tremendous opportunity. And to co-sign what Keaton is saying, yeah, okay, some people felt a little miffed that we're supporting you and we're really not interested in the Stein campaign. It's in that spirit that we haven't been supporting the Stein campaign. The Green Party is not fucking serious. They're not serious. So we're not going to tell people to go get involved with a group that is designed not to win, whether by external intelligence agency actors, whether by their own white kids cosplaying revolutionary with heads up their asses dispositions, a combination of both, the one encouraging the other to be all they can never be. Whatever it is, it's how many decades do they need to show you they're a total waste of your fucking time? And if anything, the establishment allows them to exist to get schmucks to go waste energy that could be better spent on more meaningful efforts in this dead end of the Green Party. And like Keaton said, and hey, man, we've gone back and forth on the LaRouche thing a little bit. I can't judge what I don't know. I'm not much of a joiner. I don't think I'd ever be involved in anything. I'm just that way. But I don't know, man. I mean, you're a nice young man. You know, we've gone back and forth on some.
This is how I win you over.
I say that as one of your gay dads. You know, we've gone back and forth on some philosophical things about classical civilization. Listen, man, I was sitting with Jose in Sylvia's, and we were debating Plato. And Jose starts fucking reciting Plato from memory, chapter and verse. Another guy at another table who was a professor. Where was that guy a professor? I can't remember where.
Yeah, it was one of these HBCUs.
Yeah. He was so impressed. He got up, he introduced himself, he gave Jose his card, and his wife was there. Hey man, you know a tree by its fruit. And you show me somebody Jose's age who can quote you Plato from memory. Now, and many other things. So from what I've seen, Jose has actually gotten a lot out of that organization. So that's all I can say, besides the fact that they're winning. They're winners. They won. They got on the ballot. They're winning. Okay? These other candidates, these other third parties, they're losers. They're losing. And hey, man, maybe they talk. Maybe. I don't know. I need to look into it more. I'm always honest. I don't know anything about the organization. I know Jose. I trust and like Jose. I need to learn more about the organization. But I'll tell you this. The one that the establishment is most intent on putting the stink on is probably the most dangerous one. Is probably the one that's most together and most a threat. They don't say much about the Green Party because they don't fucking care about the Green Party. They always say shit about the Green Party when they need someone to blame for their own incompetence. The Green Party is an easy goat for them to put their own failings on. Trump gets elected. Oh, it's the Green Party, right? But they don't, in general, they don't say shit about the Green Party. When Cornell was going to run, they started saying shit about the Green Party because it made him nervous.
Yeah. So, Jose, how organized is your party, like, outside of New York City? Because I know you guys got 70,000 for Diane Sayer, who she made the ballot. Cornell didn't make the ballot. I believe Claudia De La Cruz didn't make the ballot. What Jill said, what she said there was that she came the closest of all the presidential candidates. I have no reason to doubt her on that. But what is it about your organization? How did you pull that together? Because people can learn a lot from that.
Well, that's we didn't pay anybody. First of all, nobody got paid. In fact, people can. What the fuck is that? A thumbs up?
It detected you have a thumbs up. You must have an AI thing.
That's scary, man. That's scary.
Will this work? If I do
what?
Try this. Will this work? No, nothing.
What are they going to do?
Here's how we organize people.
What happens if you get a broad in the back seat?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
I wonder what that emoji's like.
Here we go. Here's my broad right here. Just some.
Oh, look at
that. But
the love of his
okay.
life.
No, you're asking a good question. I'm sorry that I went on a silly tangent there, but you're asking a good question. We didn't pay anybody, right? Jill Stein ended up paying some people professionally to do it. RFK Jr. paid people $90 a fucking hour to do this, right? The thing is, it's like,
should have asked those people to buy us lunch. We ran into RFK canvassers.
Seriously,
said, hey, we can buy some food. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
an hour.
And
if we had known that, not for nothing, we would have been helping them out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
But and also, like, not to completely bring down the Kennedy campaign, although paying people $90 an hour kind of does piss me off, because, like, what am I doing running for Congress? I should go sell out just doing that. But no, like, I know there were volunteers in the Kennedy campaign. Like, there were people who were, not getting paid to do it, which maybe you should have reconsidered that. But I don't know. I would just say that our organization over the last 50 years has such an extensive network around the country that there are just people that we can call and be like, listen, Diane needs signatures. Can you come out here? And people are like, yes, absolutely. Like, and I mean, I'm just going to say, it's like, it's the most suppressed thing around the country. The LaRouche organization, we don't get any national media. And anytime anything potent comes out. So for example, I know Jimmy Dore recently played that intervention I did on Richie Torres last year, right? There was an article that came out a day after that. So you can type my name, Jose Vega, Richie Torres. You go to Google News, you'll see it. Jose Vega accuses Richie Torres of being an Israeli lobby plan. I thought that was interesting. That's the last segment of the 3-minute video of me confronting him on Nord Stream. And I was like, Jose Vega is a known associate of Lyndon LaRouche, a conspiracy theorist and fraudster who's an anti-Semite who ran for president 8 times and is a total loser, and no one likes him, and he's a piece of shit, and nobody should listen to this guy. And that's who confronted Richie Torres. It's like, there's
hey, this is the best year to run as an anti-Semite.
Right. That's
You
why
couldn't have
Almost
timed
spit
it
out
better.
my coffee in my nice new
I should
studio.
start
You
calling
couldn't have
myself
timed it
an
better.
anti-Semite now, right?
Yeah.
Before they throw it at me. But no. So it's like it's just total suppression that has existed, and we go a little bit through it in the documentary, right? But like and I was freaked out too, because I was like, the people in the organization are so cool, but I go on like Wikipedia and like all this other shit, and you see all this weird stuff about the LaRouche organization, but it's like everything we do is public. People can just watch the town halls. I was just on the last town hall that we did on Saturday. Just go on the LaRouche Organization Rumble channel, or look at the Schiller Institute. We have these Friday international peace calls with over 300 people that aren't even associated with our organization. It's just something that Helga Zepp LaRouche started, that are like all these organizations around the world that are working for peace, that have their own whatevers, that are just coming together saying like, what are we going to do on this Gaza question? What are we going to do on the Ukraine question? And this is an organization that has just been built up over the last 50 years. And frankly, people are just threatened by the fact that like it can work. So, and I'm going to say this publicly. I'm not trying to recruit people to my organization, though you should join. And, like, this is how I went over Russ. I'm brainwashing him little by little. That's how it starts. No, I don't give a shit what people are. I want this year to be the year of independence, man. Like, I started this 435 voices, where one person in every congressional district is the person who decides to be the person who tells the truth. Then, like, I don't care if you're a libertarian, if you're a socialist or a communist, are you going to tell the truth? You don't have to be with anything to tell the truth.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
I say this every time. If Angela McArdle, who's the chair of the Libertarian Party, if she wanted to run for senator, I think she should run for Senate. Not because I agree with her on economics. We are far from that. But because I believe her best interests are what is going to be the best future for her kid, right? That's somebody I want running my country. Okay, not how much money can AIPAC give me this cycle and how much money can I get from Wall Street, right? That's what it means to be independent, to be independent minded, because the truth is independent. It doesn't belong to an organization or a group or an ideology. The truth is independent. And we have to tap into that no matter what you are. And that's just what I believe. So that's all. So if you want to join the LaRouche organization, you go to
And I'm also going to point out, especially with Stein not on the ballot, Cornell, obviously. Jimmy tweeted out him in an LA diner that went about as well as the New York appearance.
No, we have it right here.
Here with you because we are in it together.
I don't even know why you would tweet this out.
Yeah, an empty diner, a volunteer meeting or whatever this was, or a meet and greet.
They're not even there for Cornell. They're there for the blue plate special.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, you get the picture.
All right, vote Vega.nyc/store.
So Vega, if you want to challenge the establishment in this cycle, if you're in New York, this is it. This is the campaign that really, having no other real independent candidates on the ballot. Did RFK even get on? Did he get on? He got on, right?
He got on. He bought his way on.
Because he bought his way on. And so that's a joke. Particularly if you're in Jose's district. Come on, man. I mean, why would you not get involved in that campaign?
Gotta do it.
If AOC could win against Joe Crowley, who was the head of the Queen's Democratic Party, there's no reason Jose can't beat Richie Torres. I did not talk to a single person who liked it. No, I talked to one person who liked Richie Torres who knew nothing about him. As soon as I told him his AIPAC record, he signed the petition. There is a great opportunity here for an upset in the Bronx.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
And first step is join us this Thursday. VoteVega.nyc/door. All right, Jose, we'll let you know if they give you 3 minutes and you have enough quarters on you. You can call back later in the show. All right.
Okay. If you want me back on the show, I'll be home in like 20-ish, 30-ish minutes. I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm just joking. You can enjoy the rest of your evening. But
okay. I see. All right. I'm gonna go watch someone else then. I mean,
you got that fucking you got that hired muscle who drives you around there?
Oh, Jeeves?
I think Pod Save America's on.
Is Jeeves there?
Yeah.
That guy, he's like fucking Luca Brasi, that kid.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He'll appreciate that. I'll tell him that.
Alrighty, votevega.nyc. That's where you can go to volunteer or donate, and votevega.nyc/door gets you tickets to come see us this Thursday at 8 p.m. in the Bronx. Jose, great to see you again, my friend. We'll see you in a couple days.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And thank you to everyone for getting me on the ballot. That was just phase 1. Now phase 2 is flood the Bronx with optimism. You know, we need some young faces in there just giving out my flyer. So let's make it happen.
Beautiful. Thank you, man. Good to see you.
Thank you,
care.
Jose.
Jose Vega, everybody. The kid's got what it takes.
He's got moxie.
He's got moxie. Kid's got what it takes. Hey, Russell, says Omer Barovic. I'm taking my 13-year-old daughter to Iron Maiden concert in September in Melbourne. Am I a good Muslim? Love your show. Thank you.
You'd have to ask somebody more qualified to answer that question than I regarding your faith, but good call bringing the young in. Get him started young.
Get him started young. That's right. Song soundboard drop suggestion, Goodbye America by Wasp. All right. Thank you, Eric Cuso. Appreciate that. That might be a good sound drop. So, folks, it is Sunday. We are having our patron Q&A after the show. All are welcome to watch. Patrons, paid members can call in. That's going to be on Rumble immediately following the conclusion of the program. And like we mentioned earlier, sorry, I'm resetting my light. I look too orange. There we go. There we go. That's a little better. There we go. I like that better. Sorry about that, folks. This week's schedule is altered because we have 2 events. We have the Jose Vega fundraiser on Thursday, and then we have our live show on Sunday. So we are going to be live tonight, obviously, and then Tuesday at 2 p.m., Wednesday at 2 p.m., and that will be it until next week. That's why these shows we think are going to run a little longer, so we get a little more content out during the week. But that is our schedule.
A lot happening this week.
A lot going on this week. This is our summer break that's not really a break because we're going to be busy doing other things. How do we know Israel's not the 51st state? Because if they were the 51st state, they'd only control 2 senators. That's a good one. Good, Sparky. That's a good see. I like that. Is that a new one, Sparky? I haven't seen you do that.
That's a good one
before. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Ian Puttick, our friend Ian Puttick.
Yo.
Thanks for 1999. Round of applause for Ian in the chat. Great show as always. Vega rocks.
Listen, man, my word. I come to London again. We'll stream it. I'll go to your jelly deal place.
Yeah.
We'll go. I'll try jelly deal on camera.
Jelly deal. Abiding 71, the injustice of the Batavia. What is that? How do I say that? Am I saying that wrong? Batavia Comedy Club canceling Michael Rappaport has got to be the biggest story of the summer so far. Interesting.
I didn't hear about that.
No, I didn't hear about that either. Oops, sorry. What just happened here? Yeah, I heard a friend of the show, Jerry Seinfeld, will be doing a guest set at the DD live show.
He's popping in, trying out some new material.
Yeah, he will be appearing on video.
What's the deal with beheaded babies? No, I mean the ones in Rafa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we are going to be showing some of that material from the Barry Weiss interview at the live show. Yeah. That's in the lineup. That's on the set list, as they said.
Which, if you are a patron and you can't make it to the live show, you will get to watch it streaming if you sign up.
That's right. That's right. We'll pitch that more formally in a few minutes. And the greens are too serious for Cornell West. Yeah. Well, that's right. That's right. There you go. Give the cacostocracy what they don't want. RFK Jr. Thank you, Chris Shipley. All right, folks. We are going to take more Rumble rants and super chats.
Do we have? We don't have mods on Rumble, but you got the fucking Jim Caviezel fucking bot.
We got mods over there. Yeah, if the Jim Caviezel
somebody
guy
knock out the Caviezel guy.
Yeah. What's going on over there?
Jim Caviezel gets first reach around ever from Richie Torres.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. All right, we are going to move on to our next piece here. This is a family affair this evening. Family affair. We had Jose Vega, part of the extended New Dissidents family here. And now we're about to bring on my brother. Yes, my biological brother from the same mother. He recently wrote an article inspired by this show that was picked up by The Hills. That's pretty good. 1 for 1. Your first op-ed gets picked up in a pretty big outlet
right out
there.
Of the gate.
So here he is, Jew lawyer and op-ed contributor to The Hill, Ian Weiss. What's up, Jew lawyer?
Hi. Great to be on the show, and I've right out of the gate, I want to say thanks so much to everybody who engaged with the post that you did for my article and retweeted it and whatnot. I think that's by far the most exposure that it got, at least from my vantage point. So really, thanks so much to you guys and to everybody who helped me out with that.
Yeah, no problem. And, it's a pretty modest apartment for a Jew lawyer.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It really is.
You know,
what is that, a futon? Is that a futon?
Did
you make that out of plywood?
Did you switch careers? Yeah.
I usually have the camera at a different angle, and I almost did it today. But I thought, you've been taking so many pot shots at me for being a PMC and,
there you go.
So much money. I thought I wanted to demonstrate for everybody, that you see that door behind my shoulder, that's my apartment door. And then everything on the other side is my kitchen, and that's
It's a studio.
So,
it's a studio. You see, you got the couch and then the bed behind it.
You're telling me basically compared to your Jew lawyer brother, I'm living large.
Yeah, Russell's got 2 rooms.
Yeah, I haven't been
room.
I haven't
rooms.
been in your apartment yet. I didn't know you had that many rooms. I got to come over sometime. I have one of you has like a camera in my cabinet for like 6 months. You know what I'm talking about? You had me hold a camera.
Oh yeah, that's the camera. I'm going to need that camera. We're going to need that camera weekend.
That camera.
Yes,
that's
yes,
right.
indeed. I'll come pick it up when I'm in town for the live show.
So I'm talking to 1,500 people right now.
More. You're talking to 2,000 on YouTube, 1,500 on Rumble. So 3,500.
How big was the auditorium at our high school, the NFA? It was like 1,200?
No, it was less. I think it was like 600, 700, 800.
So this is the most people I ever talked to.
Yeah, it's a big show.
Yeah, the only thing that comes
Tell us
close
about your masa.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big show. Big show.
Only thing that comes close is when I was the speech coach in Singing in the Rain in our high school musical.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so that would have been like 800. Yeah, so this is about 4 times.
Wow.
A little more than 4 times that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're never living it down.
Yeah, people are asking who's older. I'm older. I'm older by 3.5 years. I'm older by 3.5 years. And now I look a lot older because I'm getting fat and scruffy, and my brother's staying in shape. So I probably look about 12 or 13 years older by now.
Well, people are asking, so obviously not.
That's true. Good point. Anyway, I want to get into this because this article that you wrote was inspired by a segment of ours. So here's Kevin O'Leary about a month back talking about how employers are going to use AI surveillance to do deep, dark searches against potential employees and blacklist them for life if they were seen at a pro-Palestine protest.
Single image, even at night now, goes into an AI generator and will tell you who that individual is. So I hire people. I have a lot of companies. I hire thousands of people. Within weeks, I'm going to be able, when we're doing your background check, I'm going to find this because it's going to be in there on the dark web. Those are the services we buy. It's only $5,000 to do a deep, dark check. Mm-hmm. Here's your resume with a picture of you burning a flag. See that one? That goes in this pile over here because I can get the same person's talent in this pile that's not burning anything.
Right.
I don't care what university or what you're burning or whose side you're on. You'll never know why you didn't get a mortgage. You'll never know why you didn't get into college. You'll never, in advanced education, you'll never know why you didn't get the job because we see you now. Mm-hmm. And all you need is to have your eyes exposed with a new 4K image. And for the rest of your life, you're in this pile.
You'll never know why they don't take your check at the bodega.
So I had not seen him talk like that at all. I had no idea about any of this until I saw it on the clip that you guys posted. And it really incensed me. I mean, it really triggered me, so to speak, because, people who try to, have a career, they, maybe law or, any kind of ordinary job, so to speak, but who also wants to be a free thinker and wants to use social media and other opportunities, both online and in the public square, to engage with political issues. The thing keeping them from doing that is the fear of precisely the type of thing that O'Leary is talking about. So for him to talk about it that way in this antagonistic kind of mocking way, and everybody kind of laughing, it was just so outrageous. And it only took me, maybe instantly. I mean, I instantly thought, I'm going to write something about this. And I never really had that impulse. I always kind of generally thought eventually I want to start writing about current events and, social issues and political issues. But I always kind of thought, not yet, just kind of keep my notes of the grindstone at work, do my job. And this, the outrageousness of what he was saying just compelled me to do it. And sure enough, it hasn't really caused any disruption in my life for the negative. I can't say that it's caused much of a disruption in my life for the positive either. As I mentioned, the engagement that I got from you guys is about it. But it's a nice way to kind of get my feet planted in this space, and I'm gonna write more, and we'll see where it goes.
All right. Well, this is the article here. Kevin O'Leary's dystopian fantasy of ruining the lives of campus protesters. I'll read a piece of it here. Gen Z is already suffering from a mental health crisis thanks to big tech. The last thing they need are villains like O'Leary giving them nightmares about how they'll be haunted forever by some Orwellian regime of techno-fascist corporate blacklisting. But anyone O'Leary has managed to spook should remember that this is the same guy who recently said he will never invest in New York again, and that New York is becoming a flyover state because of Letitia James' civil suit against Donald Trump. New York will be fine, and so will you. So your point here is that he has no legal authority to do any of the things that he's threatening to do, and that this was essentially just a psyop to basically bully these kids into submission?
I actually think that is my point, but I don't know that I knew it at the time. The way I thought about it when I was preparing the piece and when I came across the clip of him talking about New York becoming a flyover state is I liked that, and I wanted to include that in the piece because I wanted something in there that would let a college kid who was spooked breathe a sigh of relief, right? And if they saw that the same guy who says that they're screwed forever is also saying that New York is going to be a flyover state, well, that's a reason to breathe a sigh of relief and to dismiss what he's saying as crazy. That was kind of my conscious thought process. But the way you put it is also really good because, since writing the piece and kind of thinking about it now, I think, he's just totally full of shit. He probably knew that stuff he was describing about retina scans and body movements and deep, dark background checks revealing your political activities from college. He probably knew as he was saying it that it's not real or, virtually not real.
Well, what was really interesting to me was you're really making the case that that's not legal.
Yes. Yeah. So I said it's not legal because that's what I know, right? I know.
All right. So why is it illegal?
So the thing that I think is most clearly illegal is when he says, you'll never know why you didn't get that job, because the Fair Credit Reporting Act specifically requires businesses who deny a job applicant based on a third-party background check to disclose that they denied the applicant based on that third-party background check. And I think the reason for that requirement is to avoid precisely the type of fear that O'Leary was trying to stoke. Imagine the fear if there's some skeleton in your closet, you went through a bad time in your life and did some things that you're ashamed of and did some things that would make you, that would raise a red flag for an employer. Imagine
it's like you've been following me around my whole life.
Yeah, well, you're lucky enough to have grown up at least throughout your youth before the internet. But for
Yes,
people,
exactly.
for young people, and it's getting worse and worse every generation. It's already significantly worse for the generation younger than me. I always thought of myself as a young person, but these days I think, man, there's a generation who's got a qualitatively different background from me. So that's the most specific reason.
So the check is not illegal, but denying you the job and then not telling you why is the illegal part?
At least under federal law, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that's the clearest illegality that I could spot from what he was saying at the federal level. I also pointed out that there are state and local laws that could curtail what he wants to do. California law, I think, is a bit murky. There's case law from courts interpreting, I think, some unclear statutory language. But I mean, what I learned from like not like law school, but like actual like training sessions, like human resources training sessions, was that in California, you're really not supposed to hold people's politics against them for any employment purposes. That was what I was trained in, like a practical setting, not just in a class. So Californians, I think, are well positioned for that reason. I also noted Seattle makes a political ideology a protected class, just like race and sex. And that might be a bridge too far for some jurisdictions, but I think that it should be considered. There's a lot of talk these days about how politics are becoming like religion, and maybe politics are actually religion. And that's, I think, a good reason to give similar protections to political ideology as we already give to religion.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could argue it's because of the decline in religion. Like there may just be a tick in the human brain where people need to fanatically believe in some kind of good versus evil story.
Yeah, no, I take that theory very seriously. I think it's a good theory. But even if we don't go so far as to make political ideology a protected class, having some laws on the books curtailing discrimination and curtailing surveillance based on people's political activities would be really useful. And even if those laws could not be enforced very well, just having them on the books would give the more kind of intellectually open-minded, humble person in the meeting room, so to speak, something to say in that meeting when other people in the meeting are thinking about rejecting a candidate for some tweet. That person would say, hey, it is actually the law that we're not supposed to hold that tweet against them. And that could help. I recently heard I was reading Michael Schellenberger's book, San Francisco, and he talks about Harvey Milk's dog poop law. And Harvey Milk said, look, we're not really going to enforce the dog poop law, but just having the law will change the norms and make people more likely to pick up their dog poop. And if we had some laws that generally constrained holding people's politics against them for employment purposes, it would help nudge the norms in the right direction so that people can work when they're at work and then speak and think for themselves when they're not, which is what I think a huge swath of the population presently craves and doesn't have.
But that's what he doesn't want. That's what O'Leary doesn't want. These ultra rich people are power mad psychos, and they want to control people lower on the economic ladder than them. That's the whole point. You described it offline. We were talking about this on the phone. As he's basically saying that there's like a Santa Claus out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's like watching over you, and he's going to put you on the naughty list if he sees you at the naughty place at the right. So like, but even though it's not real, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to control your behavior by saying don't fraternize with the naughty kids at the campus protest, or else you're going on a bad list.
Yeah,
whether there's an enforcement or not is kind of irrelevant. Just like you in the example you just raised with the dog shit law, the enforcement is not the point. The point is they want to control what you do by telling you there's going to be consequences if you do the wrong thing.
Yeah, I'm really curious about Kevin O'Leary's motivation specifically, because he's said elsewhere things to the effect of, hey, don't get me wrong, I'm anti-war. I mean, he's made noises suggesting that he doesn't have a huge beef with the protesters. He was not saying, oh, they're pro-Hamas, they're anti-Semites, it's they're going to be causing problems because they hate Jews. He wasn't going there. His attitude just seems to be, business first, everything else second.
Exactly.
And he doesn't want to hire people who have a life outside of business,
who have an identity outside of
and
it.
have an identity outside of business. And one thing I do kind of want to say, I've been thinking about this a lot. There is a kernel of truth to his sense that if you're the type of person who protests at one of these encampments, you're probably not the type. Well, I shouldn't say you might not like working for a bank, right? So if I'm a bank and I'm looking to hire people, I'm looking to hire people who are smart, and can develop the skills, which honestly, like, it's a low bar. Like, you're smart enough to do what they do at a bank, in their early 20s. But they're also looking for people who aren't going to get bored. That's a serious constraint on who is going to thrive at a law firm or an accounting firm or an insurance company or a bank. The ability to do boring stuff all day, every day, and not get bored. And so there is some kernel of truth to what he's saying, that the type of person who's out there protesting might, frankly, have too lively of a mind to concentrate on the boring stuff that they're going to be doing all day, every day for the first several years of their career. So I'm not unsympathetic to that. But if that's what he's getting at, then he should say it that way. He should say
that's not what he's getting at. He's getting at the fact that if he doesn't like your politics, you're not going to work for him. And ultimately, I think that these tech overlords, these billionaires in this new Gilded Age, are so used to having their own way that he doesn't feel they can't get away with that. And he may be right. Hey, man, you know how many years this lawsuit takes, and then you need a whistleblower, you need to prove it. Yeah, it could be 10 years of denying people's applications. Like, the technology he's describing may not completely be there yet, but it will be in short order.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Doesn't he say there the dark web? He says that it's going to be underground.
He says dark web and deep web, and those are two specific things. If you look up deep web, you'll see what that means, and dark web means something else. I'm not a tech buff. I put that in the top of the article. Somebody else can handle that side of what he's saying. But yeah, I mean, we probably aren't that far from the type of technology that he's fantasizing about. I mean, Jose's thumbs up incident from a half hour ago.
Like, I don't even think we already have that technology, just not I don't think it's available in a commercial form like that yet. I don't think there's any site you could go to right now that's going to offer
$5,000 you can get.
Yeah, you can look at their eyes and it's going to find it. But the technology's there, so that's going to follow pretty quickly after. They just, because of the legal issues you're citing, the question for them is, how do you monetize that legally? How do you legally monetize that level of intrusion?
Yeah, that's what I think. All right, any response? Last word?
No. So just listen. Thanks again to both of you and to your viewers, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Ian.
Weiss. The article is on The Hill right now. You can see that if you Google The Hill, Ian Weiss, Kevin O'Leary's dystopian fantasy of ruining the lives of campus protesters. All righty. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
See you, bye.
I'll be back to pick up my camera tomorrow. Yeah.
It's a family affair.
Family affair. That's right. That's right. Big show tonight. Big family show this evening. And as Russell mentioned earlier, if you would like to have live stream access to our big live show on Sunday, you can become a member. Patreon.com/Do Dissidents is where you go to do that. That's patreon.com/Do Dissidents. You can also join our Substack, DoDissidents.substack.com, or our locals, DoDissidents.locals.com. If you're watching on Rumble right now, the best way to join our locals is to click that bright red join button right underneath the video player. Everybody else can use these links. Patreon is there. Substack is right here, or you can go to DoDissidents.locals.com. Perks of joining include call-in access to our weekly post-show Q&As every Sunday night. Tonight is Sunday. We'll be over on Rumble doing a call-in Q&A after the show. Also, you get your name up in lights here on the patron scroll, and you get those bonus streams that we're talking about. We just did 2 for May. We'll do 2 more for June, and as a bonus in June, you get live stream access to that live show on June 9th. 2 performances, one at 2 p.m., one at 7 p.m. Watch them as they happen by becoming a member. You guys are the backbone of the show. Yassine Miller, thanks for the $20. It has been a long break from the news. Just got back. What's that?
I said thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. From our trip back to both my hometown, Istanbul, and the Aegean coast of Turkey. Great time with friends and family, and now I'm having my dinner and watching you guys. Beautiful. Sounds like a fun evening. And
I want to go
safe
to
travels.
Istanbul. I want to see the ruins of the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That would be a fun trip. Kinky, thanks for the $5. What happened to Extra Bola and Afro Man? Weren't you guys campaigning for them for a while? Yeah, that's true. Maybe they should re-enter. Although they missed the ballot deadline.
Yeah, I think they missed the ballot deadline.
Yeah, I think we missed that one. Yes, indeed. You know what? Cornell kind of blew it for them, because when Cornell ran, we were supporting him. And then that took the wind out of the sails of the Bola campaign. And although Afro Man, I don't know what Afro Man's doing. Maybe we should look at Afro Man. Schiller Institute still has RFK on their website. They originally endorsed him. They said they withdrew it, but he is still on the sites. Well, that's good to know. I'll tell Jose.
They got to do some housekeeping there.
Yeah, they got to do something about that. Mexico's election is today. I hope Scheinbaum wins. Thank you. Yeah, we should cover that on Tuesday for sure. See, they have it on Sunday. Election day is a Sunday. That's what a civilized country does.
We keep not getting to it. I keep seeing articles about how they're running out of water.
Yeah, you know what I heard today? I heard Atlanta
there's going to be a
has
water
no water.
crisis.
I heard Atlanta's
having a problem. They had water main breaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's something we should look into. What are those, nuts?
I didn't get a chance to eat any dinner.
That's all right. Just wondering. Russ, if any of those Green Party bastards give you shit, just tell them I said get their fucking Stein box. There you go. Yeah, indeed. No, I mean, look, could you imagine, seriously, this is a point of, contention with some people. If I told people, yeah, come gather signatures for Jill Stein, fly here from Kansas City to go camp,
right.
And then, no, we didn't get it. Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
We feel a responsibility because we have a platform not to lead people into these kinds of blind alleys and not to, paint a picture that's just false, man. Come on.
If after 30 years you can't get 45,000 signatures in New York, 30 years as an organization.
We may be simple country podcasters.
Yeah.
But we know shit from Shinola. And that's shit. That's shit.
Yeah. Exactly. People are saying Cornel West crashed his own Upper West Side house party because nobody showed up. Thank you. Thank you, Kenwood. Appreciate that. Seamus Warren. Richie Torres, you're fired. Jose Vega is of the people, by the people, for the people. Representative Jose Vega has piqued my interest in the LaRouche organization. There you go. See, it's working. His master plan is working like a charm. Let's see here. Eric Clapton's up for touring with Roger Waters and against Ukraine war and Gaza genocide. Wow. From recent Eric Clapton interview by Dave Spurrier on his YouTube channel, The Real Music Observer.
That would be amazing.
Wow.
You know, I
Yeah.
assumed because Roger Waters, the concert, I guess he's still touring it. It was very clearly a swan song retirement kind of concert because I've seen, I believe, every solo tour he's ever done post Pink Floyd, going all the way back to Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. And I've never seen him talk about Syd Barrett and do a retrospective on their relationship. And it was very personal. It was very much like a guy who feels like, I mean, I think he's like 81. It definitely felt like he thought it was probably his last tour. So he wanted to do a little kind of retrospective, a little memoiring about his long history. So I assumed I wouldn't get to see him live again. But if those guys go out on tour, I am there.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be terrific. All right, let's go to what was I just looking at? What's going on here? What happened to these? Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. Heather Goes Rogue. I'm in Reno. I've already donated to Jose 3 times. There you go. Thanks, Heather. I don't even donate to my local politicians. He's the real deal. Thank you.
Thank you,
much.
Heather.
Yeah. Sandy M., I knew you guys weren't actively supporting Jill Stein, but I did not expect you to come on here and actually gloat over her not getting 45,000 signatures. Not good. We're not gloating, Sandy. We're not gloating.
We're making a point.
I'm making a point. Look, I would have voted for Jill Stein if she were on the ballot. I'm not against Jill Stein.
He wasn't even on the Chappelle train with me.
No, I was going to vote
Now
for her.
he
I
is.
said she's the best of them. The point is not to gloat. The point is to demonstrate that if you want to enlist people's time and effort, you have to demonstrate a degree of seriousness. It is your responsibility as a candidate to do that. Why is it that Jose, who 2 weeks ago could not afford a haircut, why is it that he could go out, bust his ass, and get the signatures, and the Green Party that's been here for 30 fucking years, and who brags that New York is one of their strongest bases of power and support, why is it they could not do this? I'm not saying it's not rigged against them. We know it's rigged against them. That's what Jose came on here and says, listen,
but it's
not
rigged
against us.
Jose. It's not rigged against Diane.
The point is, Jose comes here and says, it's rigged against us. That's why we have to be extra on top of our shit. And that's what it takes to succeed as a third party. You have to be extra on top of your shit. And if you're not, if you're Cornel West, who can't fill an amphitheater, if Phil can't get 10% of the bleachers at a Harlem amphitheater, or if you're Jill Stein, who after 30 fucking years, you can't get 45,000 signatures in New York State, I can't. We had people on our recommendation fly from fucking Kansas City to New York to bust their ass for Jose. If I told them to do that for Jill Stein and then we hear, oh, we didn't make it, I mean, come on. Come on. I just don't feel right about doing that.
So
it's
if anything,
it's nothing
Sandy,
against her. I would have voted for her.
Right.
Yeah.
Sandy, you should take it as we are being extra mindful of our responsibility to you.
To you, exactly.
To you, not to waste your time and not to waste our audience's time. Obviously, there are no guarantees, but we try to be careful about what we endorse. I don't see a lot of candidate endorsements in our future. This is a very rare one where we believed in it.
Right. Exactly. So that's all we're saying, Sandy. And you're active in this chat, and we love you, and you're great. But that's it. That's where we're coming from. Yep. I can see the resemblance in the glasses. Thank you. Yes, we are two birds of a feather in that way. All right, let's move on to a related story related to the Kevin O'Leary piece. Those protesters that Kevin O'Leary wants to blacklist are back. That's right. They're back. Breaking news. We are back. A group of Palestinian. Yeah.
We're back in black.
That's right. Exactly. Here they come. A group of Palestinian students supported by Columbia BDS have established a new encampment amidst Columbia College's alumni reunion, Revolt for Rafah. We are back. There you go. They write down this encampment reclaims the South Lawns, the very space the first two liberated zones existed before the NYPD violently dismantled them, and has deoccupied the tents that the university has set up for alumni programming. This encampment follows the revelation that Columbia University has been colluding with the billionaire lobby, acting on behalf of foreign governments to brutalize, mass arrest, and siege our campus with the NYPD. Revolt for Rafah, Installation 1, join us. The Columbia Spectator reports pro-Palestinian protesters re-pitch encampment on South Lawn during annual alumni reunion. Roughly 24 pro-Palestinian protesters occupied the west side of South Lawn at 7 p.m. on Friday during Columbia's annual alumni reunion, demanding that the university divest from companies with ties to Israel and provide full financial transparency of its direct and indirect investments. The protesters laid down tarps, pitched around 10 tents, and displayed banners reading, "While you're earning, Rafah's burning. We're back, bitches," and alumni, "No donations till divestment." I like "we're back, bitches." That's the best. In an Instagram post, the Columbia chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine identified the protesters as an autonomous group of Palestinian students supported by Columbia University Apartheid Divest. Several public safety officers entered South Lawn and began removing tents at around 7:55 p.m. as protesters chanted, "Shame!" Protesters then sat inside the tents to prevent officers from taking them, and officers attempted to rip tents from protesters' hands. An organizer left the lawn with the officers. 5 tents remained on the lawn after officers left. Mariam Alwan, GS25, a protester at the new encampment, said she was surprised that the public safety officers began removing tents without warning the protesters on the lawn. "I think if the university hasn't already realized that their show of force doesn't deter us, then they have learned nothing from the movement in the first place. So long as the genocide and the occupation of Palestine continues, we will be fighting for divestment, especially seeing the invasion of Rafah and the headless child, yes, and the burning bodies." Horrible, Alwyn said. "I think we all feel sick to our stomach, and even though there's way less of us who are still on campus, we still want to do whatever we can to fight back." Alwan said she hopes this encampment pushes university administrators to return to the negotiating table with protesters. Negotiations between members of the administration and student protesters ended on April 29th after protesters rejected the university's offers, which included developing an expedited timeline for review of divestment proposals and a process for students to access a list of Columbia's direct divestment holdings. Pardon me. There we go. So there's a picture there. We're back, bitches. And there it is. Revolt for Rafah. Good for them. They came back first chance they got. And given Israel's promise that this war is going to drag on another 7 months, well, you know what happens in, June, July, August, 3 months? School's back in session, which means they should go right back to where they got kicked out of. They should go right back, set them right back up.
Is that a realistic goal though for Israel? Who knows?
I'm just saying, as long as the war goes on, they should have an encampment there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're so psychotic, and they're so used to being able to get away with this kind of behavior that even as more and more countries recognize Palestine, even as more countries end their trade relations with Israel, they might not respond to that. They might keep going. But we've long said, how much longer can you go? How many people are you going to kill? Like, aren't you going to run out of things to bomb after a while? Like, how realistically, how could they keep doing this for 7 months?
It seems impossible. But as long as there is a campaign there, or as long as the occupation persists, I mean, what that student who was quoted in the article just said, as long as the war is going on, as the genocide's going on, or as long as the occupation is an occupation, we'll be out here. And so they should set right back up. Those are those who come back. I said at the time, I hope none of these kids come back. I don't know how you go back to a school like that. I don't know how that doesn't just break you, how it doesn't, not break you in terms of as a person, but break your vision of what that institution is, how that doesn't just sever you from it. But to the extent that they go back, yeah, they should absolutely not stand down. I think it was a great show of force that they went back there for this alumni weekend and did their thing all over again. They've shown tremendous resolve in the face of the kind of bullying that we covered in the last segment and covered a few weeks ago. I mean, Kevin O'Leary is one offender. He's far from the only one. You know, you had guys like Bill Ackman, you know, lobby law firms to send letters rescinding the employment offers to graduate students who were counting on those jobs to get them out of the debt that they incurred to go to the college. And so good for them for being there in the first place. Good for them for coming back for this weekend. And if this genocide is still happening in September, or even if it's not, like I said, as long as justice is not done, they should be out there.
Yeah. This seems to be something that everyone agrees on that has been exposed by this. People who are Zionist and people who are anti-Zionist. They've all come to the same conclusion, one that should gladden your anti-education heart. See, Keaton loves the poorly educated.
Yes.
Everyone agrees these are hedge funds with books. This has been the big takeaway. Everyone agrees on this. Ironically, the pro-Zionist people that they seem to be trying to please, because they're the ones who write the big donor checks, are most intent on burning these places down. They are the most inclined to make the argument that these universities no longer serve their function and they just need to be burned to the ground. We need to start over with things like University of Austin, I think is the name of the Barry Weiss et al. Effort. And they're really talking about building a parallel university system like that, whereas the pro-Palestine forces are more reformist. It's more that they want these universities to continue, but they want them to divest themselves from these horrific war crimes. So they're kind of bending over backwards to please the one, when really I think their future is with the other. Like, why do you want to please Bill Ackman? Bill Ackman wants your whole existence terminated.
Right. Exactly. All right, we'll take some more super chats and some more Rumble
and
rants.
Keaton Weiss, for that matter. He's the exception.
Oh yeah,
he's the exception on the pro-Palestine side. Look, you and Bill Ackman were. I've been saying you got to work with people issue by issue. So maybe you and Bill Ackman can work together on this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be. I don't have high hopes for that. But we shall see. China Shill says, so the young one was a successful one. Yes, that's correct. Yes, he is 3.5 years younger than I am. Yeah, how many young women have been in that bed? That's not for me to know. Thank you. Here is this is a good one, GHU. Here's a resume of your wife that ran over people while DUI on your boat, and I'll put it on this pile. Yeah, exactly. Should have told him that. Here we go. Yep, GHU, not the first time Constantine spatted Europeans are superior, even said that non-Europeans like Russia is backwards. Ukrainian. Yeah, we're getting to that. That's next. When will we start bombing Mexico? Kinky too. Thank you. Tongue in cheek. We know Kinky. Thank you very much. Okay. We will go to John Locke, Jew lawyer, pretty rich coming from a college dropout, ne'er Jew well. Yes, that's right. That should be his title, Jew lawyer.
Jew lawyer at large.
Yeah. Also, Sparky's had that joke for a while. That joke, the only controlling 2 senators, popped in my head not long after 10-7. Seemed obvious, so I hesitated to claim it. Wasn't sure if I'd sent it to you before. No, you hadn't. Thought you or Vega could use it. I think it's original. I think that is original. I hadn't heard that before. It's a good one, Sparky. That's a very good one.
That is a good one.
Dare Gollum, thank for the 187. Appreciate that. David Santucci.
That's cute.
Well, Ian's probably going to lose his job, but at least he'll have more time to devote to his writing.
That's how that goes, yeah.
Yeah, that's the upside. MCFC, thanks for the $9.99. Thank you, gentlemen. Great take on current events. Thank you very much.
You.
Appreciate that. In Norm Finkelstein voice request, Ian Weiss has such well-prepared hair, unlike his brother Keaton. Yes. Yeah, my hair is getting to that unruly length now. Certainly,
I gotta go get a haircut before the fundraiser.
Judge says, "Who you got in the NBA Finals, Mavs or Celtics?" Well, the Celtics were the #1 seed, so I guess the smart money's on them. That's all I can say. I don't follow basketball closely enough to know, but I know the Celtics were #1. I think the Mavs were #5. So I guess smart money is on Boston. All right. Here we go. This is the big one. We're going to talk some smack. Now. So, Russell, do you want to set this up before we get into the slideshow, or should we just go right in?
Well, all right. So we have a personal knowledge of this situation. So the douchebag dialogues finally started dropping their clips on their failing channel, which has 2.3 thousand subscribers. They're talking very big channel. For a low traffic failing channel. Even trolling Brianna, they've still only got 50,000 views on their signature videos. So
that's right.
They're talking pretty big for people who can't get an audience. But that aside, having been there for 2 days of that, as these clips start to drop, the two I really want to do is this one, which was the Hamas Israel panel, Gaza Israel. We'll cover that panel. We'll dig into what they're claiming piece by piece on Tuesday when we have more time to deal with this. They just dropped their Richard Dawkins thing, which I'll pull out the relevant segment of him claiming the protesters are all anti-Semitic. And John McWhorter did a We Passed Peak Woke panel where he was just like the fucking the marquee of Rockberry. Just, oh yes, these students, it's just it's horrible what they're doing. Those three I really want to get into. But yeah, she got into a back and forth with Konstantin. How do you say his last name?
Konstantin Kassin, I think.
Konstantin Kassin, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. And because he took exception that she put his moderator in quotes. I think they're just trying to drum up more visibility for this fucking wank fest that they put on than they've been able to get by starting a flame war. But what he says when on there is not true. And we've actually got some footage of our own that proves it. And also I can recount my personal experience of Brie after the panel. So, but we'll get into that.
All right, so let's start at the beginning here. So obviously, Dissident Dialogues Festival happened May 3rd and 4th, but they are just dropping their videos of the event now, which means they are kind of generating some drama on the interwebs right now. So this is from Brianna Wu, who I think she used to work at TYT or something. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, who is this bitch? Who the fuck is she?
I think she used to work at. I think she used to work at TYT, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that. The chat will know for sure.
This is yeah. That was one of the things. It's not in our slideshow, but Brie say I've been ignoring this person because why is she even in the conversation? I agree. Who?
I think she worked for Wolfpack, which was Jenk's original thing that he put together.
Well, we can see the quality of person that project attracted.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what she does. So anyway, she tweets out a clip of this debate. Here's Brianna Joy Gray claiming Hamas does not want to genocide Jews despite it being their charter, claiming they want a peaceful one-state solution and that Muslims were not involved in October 7th. Of course, she did not say that. That's an insane interpretation of that. This is a delusional fantasy multiplex. Okay, so here is the video that is embedded in that tweet, and which we will probably have to revisit once or twice throughout this segment. But here it is just to show it.
To a solution.
And that is not even what she says.
No,
that's not even what she says in the clip.
No, of course not. Of course not.
How do we get to a solution?
So I think that we have to not talk about Arabs as though they're somehow constitutionally different than Danes. I don't know why we would essentialize populations in that way. We have to be open to the idea
Danes don't
that
do
the people.
October 7th?
Wait a minute. Muslims didn't do October 7th.
Not since the Vikings, to be
Gazans
fair.
didn't do October 7th. And if you're adopting the worldview that everyone in Gaza, the 2.3 million people, are responsible, then you are very much in line
That's
with
not what I said.
Netanyahu's right-wing government,
That's
who
not what I
thinks
said.
that, and therefore
Of course, that is what you said. Let's just play this so that we can, just for transparency's sake.
it's appropriate to violate international law by doing collective punishment on the population, literally starving them to death,
Fine.
having them on the brink
No,
of famine, killing 13,000 kids. There was a very passionate description of the graphic reality of
Brianna,
October 7th at the
Brianna,
beginning of this. The answer is...
You're not answering my question.
I'll answer the question.
Go.
I'm sorry, I do feel like a lot of responses...
20 more seconds.
Okay.
20 more seconds. The solution, please. Go.
So there has to be a one-state solution, which means that there cannot... When Hamas is talking about eliminating Israel, it's talking about not killing all of the Jews. It's about eliminating the idea...
Okay.
It's about...
Leave it there. We'll leave it there.
Even as the
It's
penguin
about, let me just finish, sir. Can I just finish the sentence? It's about
Even laughs
eliminating
like
the
the
idea of a
penguin.
Jewish state. Ending a Jewish state, ending an
You're
ethno-national
through
state,
in
having a state
Gotham,
more like what we have in the United States of America.
If I can just
Okay, so there was a lot there. I just wanted
okay,
to play it.
and they did a couple of cuts. She actually elaborated a bit more. So what he's claiming she said is not what she said. She was talking about the general people of Palestine should not be collectively punished. She didn't even address Hamas in the clip that they used. She's talking about Palestinians and Palestine in general.
No, and if you listen, he makes the case for essentializing Arabs. She says this, okay? So I just want to play the first few seconds of this again, because that's going to set the tone for this sort of flame war.
Well,
that
and
ensues.
we maybe after that we should play the video of the Danes thing.
Sure.
How do we get to a solution?
So I think that we have to not talk about Arabs as though they're somehow constitutionally different than Danes. I don't know why we would essentialize populations in that way. We have to be open to the idea
Danes don't
that
do
the people...
October 7th?
Because Danes don't do October 7th. So that's why we should essentialize them, which is essentially means to profile them, to cast them aside as an other. Now, bear in mind, that was Constantine who said that.
Have Danes had their countries invaded and been kicked out of their homes en masse? Because then they might do that.
Well, I mean, even on that level,
That
it's
might
absurd
might
because
stir
he's
the old
lumping them
Viking
together,
blood.
right?
So
But I just
maybe
wanna
we
make one
should
point
show
here. One
what they're
second, though.
talking about.
Yes, in just a second, because I want to make a point, because this becomes a thing when they go back and forth. You might think, based on this video, that Constantine was her debate opponent, but he was not. He was the quote-unquote moderator who interrupted her to make that point on the behalf of the Penguin and the Riddler sitting over his left shoulder. Okay, so there we go. Now, do you want to add something?
Yeah, why don't we throw up the Danes thing, since this keeps coming up and
All right,
people
go
have
ahead.
no context.
Yep, that's you.
Okay, so this is what she's talking about.
Respect, and this is the weird conversation that we're having when people talk about Zionism these days. Incredible to me that I'm like, I thought this was a settled matter. Zionism is about this creation of the state of Israel, which was created. Are you a Zionist or are you an anti-Zionist? What I'm trying to figure out is if my opponents here believe that the state of Israel should exist at all, and if we should wipe a UN member nation off the map, because that is effectively what right of return is. The right of return is not take 7 million refugees, and this number expands. These are people who have never been in the area, have resettled other places. And Benny Morris's book is far more nuanced than that is allowing, that there were people who were expelled, there were people that were forced out by their own side, et cetera. Benny Morris has actually said this, and you quoted him, so let me go to him, that if you do have right of return, which by the way, 7 million people doesn't mean 7 million people that go to the West Bank and Gaza. Very specifically doesn't mean that. It goes to what Israel is now. In what Morris said, and I think it was an article in Tablet, he said, the response to this is if you think October 7th is bad, this is going to be a giant bloodletting. This is not as if 7 million Danes are coming in. These are people who have an ideological predisposition. Obviously Hamas now in West Bank is the most popular party, as Eli points out.
Okay. So we're gonna get more into breaking down a lot of the claims they make on Tuesday, but that is very much what's this guy's name? Jake Stein. He writes for Reason magazine. in a festival of douchebags, that guy really stood out as the bull goose douchebag of the douchebag dialogues. He was just an incredible douchebag on every panel he was on. At the end, actually, they had the douchebag king award, and they put a crown on him with a scepter and a little ermine cloak.
They stuff you inside a bear, and they.
Yeah.
And they
he was that guy was very special. But if you listen to that, you pretty much just heard the distilled geopolitical perspective of most of the people who appeared on stage at that festival. This very facile understanding of the Muslim world, of its history, the violent savages trope, that they are ideologically, hey, these people, they're ideologically murderous, and hey, we look at how they educate their children, which is said later in the piece. We'll get into that Tuesday, how Israelis educate their children. But this is what I said in the piece we did. Now, we haven't been showing clips because we promised them we wouldn't until they dropped them themselves. So now this is fair game based on what I agreed with them. Yeah, the entire weekend, nothing was said about geopolitics that would disturb Jake Sullivan. It was just constantly China is the enemy. They wanted to talk about Uyghur slave labor. They want to talk about American slave labor. We've done stories on that. We're going to do more stories on that. They didn't say anything about that. It was all this very, very conventional view, and that's why I came away from it saying, these guys are just basically right-wing Republicans with a tech bro paint job. That's it. They just want to be cool right-wingers. This whole dissident, it's a fucking joke. It's a joke. These people, these people are as fucking as dissident as Kamala Harris. These people, they might hate her, but they're just the other side of what she is. That's it. They just stay within this very narrow ideological lane that is not going to in any way, shape, or form disturb anybody with any real power. So what you just heard from him, that was very typical of what you would hear that entire weekend. Now, Brianna, yeah, like she was visibly upset by a lot of what she heard, including that Danes thing. And, she was talking about murdered children. A woman burst out laughing. She tweeted about that. So it was a very rough panel. I actually, after we did that initial coverage of it, I had some people say, I was there and it wasn't all anti-Brie. And actually, I forgot about this. They did a poll.
That was like 85%, something like that.
It was like 74% felt that Israel's war in Gaza was just. So yes, right. The room was overwhelmingly against her. It was a very tough room. And it really exposes the whole, and this is what I asked Schellenberger about, and this is what I asked Li Fang about, the whole anti-woke thing. It's just another grift. That's what Israel post October 7th has really exposed. They had nothing good to say about the student protesters. You want to show that you're principled, you go out there and you say, I don't agree with them, but it's terrible that they're violating their right to speak. Nobody said anything like that. When they mentioned the protesters, and this is right after Congress passed that horrific bill to essentially criminalize pro-Palestine protests at colleges. Nothing to say about that. Nothing to say about that. The only panel where that came up was one that Li Fang was on. And anything they had to say about students was negative. So that's the context. That's the environment. Now, as far as how he moderated, we always want to be fair. That was a bad moment, but if you do go on in that clip, they've dropped the whole thing if you want to watch it. if you do go on, he does press them, well, what are the Palestinians supposed to do? What are they supposed to do to get a better deal for themselves besides going to war? I came away saying I thought he was trying to be a fair moderator. Now, in that moment, what I think happened is his personal bias came out. But it was not, the entire thing was not, that was not characteristic of his entire moderation, I didn't think.
All right, so we're going to go here. So Brianna quote tweets that video piece. Moments after one of the pro-Zionists on the panel argued that Muslims were unsuitable for cohabitation, unlike Danes, to wild applause, I make a forceful argument against ethno-nationalism and Islamophobia. As was the case through the debate, the moderator interjected at every turn. All right, so that moderator has a name, Konstantin Kassin, and he has a lot more integrity than you do. Your forceful argument is just whitewashing Hamas. You treat them like they're the safety patrol and they're bloodthirsty rapists whose literal charter is to genocide all Jews. Now, she called him a moderator, in quotes there, because he cut her off and he made a point on behalf of the opposition. He didn't just interrogate her. He says, well, that's because the Danes don't do it.
Sure, that was out of bounds, sure.
Exactly. Oh, I don't mind her jibe. She struggled on the night, stormed off crying, threw Mike at the organizers after failing to answer a single question, and reading the comments on the video, even pro-Palestine people were embarrassed by her behavior. Leaving your echo chamber is painful. Oh, I'm sure she got a fair shake in your fucking comment section. Oh, yeah. I'm sure those are totally unbiased observers, yeah.
Okay,
even the pro-Palestine ones, yeah.
Okay, so I can personally testify as someone who was there. She did not cry coming off the stage. I hung out with her out back for about 10, 15 minutes afterwards, and she was furious, which I cannot blame her. But no, she was not crying. Now, as far as microphone gate goes, unfortunately, because I could see from her body language that she was gonna jet as soon as this panel ended. So I started getting my shit together to talk to her. So I didn't get everything, but I did get the moment that it ended and what she's doing with the microphone. So clearly she puts the microphone back and to the left. So,
yeah.
So just over 100 agreed.
All right. So this also shows you what the outcome of this poll was.
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
in this room of fucking ghouls.
Yeah.
Just about 20 disagree and about 25 are unsure. We didn't see what it was at the beginning, so I don't know if we shifted much of the conversation. It shifts. Say that again, but louder. Okay, so from 71 to 74. Okay, percent. Okay. So we are slightly more convinced.
Okay, so over the course of the debate, it went from 71 approve of Israel's actions to 74% approve of Israel's actions.
That it's adjustable by an extra 3 percentage points. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me once again in thanking everybody in the panel.
Let's see.
Thank you very much for being here.
Now it looks like she's about to put it on the chair.
That's where it cuts?
That's where it cuts.
Oh.
Because I was prepping to chase her.
Oh,
so
yeah, we don't have that's like the shot at the end of Inception with the top. Just as it's about to fall, it cuts to black. Oh. Killing me. Who knew that would be the most pivotal
who knew that
point of debate?
That's what I said when this came up. I look, I made the right choice because we got to talk afterwards, and I can tell you personally, she was not crying. So he's literally lying. His account is literally a lie.
And based on that, it looks like she did. I mean, I would say at this point, less than 1% she threw that microphone. It doesn't look like she's about to throw that. It looks like she's putting it on the chair.
She's a pro. She didn't throw a mic at it.
Yeah, they had to pay her to be
not
there
only is she a
because
pro,
it was
she's
such
a
hostile
lawyer.
room. Right.
She's not going to do anything suable.
Right. Or that
that's
feedback.
assault. That's assault if you throw a microphone at somebody. Shouldn't throw a freaking microphone. The fact that he's lying about about her leaving the stage crying. Yeah, I wouldn't believe, especially if you just watch that. She doesn't seem like she's about to throw it. It looks like she's about to put it down, actually.
Exactly. All right. So he says,
all right, so go on.
Leaving your echo chamber is painful. A lying Zionist, who would have thought? As we just demonstrated, she neither cried nor threw the microphone at the organizers. Your disgraceful, unprofessional behavior was the talk of the event after you stormed off. Well, not for long. It wasn't.
More on that later.
Richard Dawkins was the talk of the event, actually, thanks to Russ. Hundreds of people will back up many smart people will back up what I said. I hope you enjoy.
Except not the actual festival organizers, which we will see in a moment.
Exactly. I hope you enjoy reading the comments on the debate videos. Useful feedback. Yeah, again, she's going to get roasted in the comment section of Your Idiot's channel and the Dissident Dialogues channel. Joseph Klein tweets at him, your tweeting like this is completely unprofessional behavior from someone who was supposed to be a neutral moderator. So her blaming her poor performance and calling me a moderator is fine. Me saying she was unprofessional, rude, and disrespectful is unprofessional. I did a great job being a neutral moderator and making sure both sides were treated as equally as humanly possible. I know beating up on the referee is what losers always do, but I am not going to sit in a corner while people question my integrity instead of looking in the mirror. Okay, I just wanted to play this one more time. It's just funny he would comment on this because what Russell's saying, I'll take Russell's word for it, and I watched it. I don't remember him as well as Russell did. But in this clip...
So I think that we have to not talk about Arabs as though they're somehow constitutionally different than Danes. I don't know why we would essentialize populations in that way. We have to be open to the idea
Danes don't
that
do
the people...
October 7th?
Right. See, he just cut in on her giving an answer. Yeah, no, yeah. He definitely, that was unprofessional.
And that wasn't an interrogation. He was making a point on behalf of the opposition. In the thread that
he
you're saying he did a professional
He didn't phrase
job.
it as a question.
Right.
Do you think that people see a difference in October 7th? They can't imagine Danes doing that. That would be inbounds.
Right.
Overall, I didn't feel like I felt like he was trying to do that, but he's so biased in that direction. I think that's what happened in that moment. He was just so biased that he snapped for a second. Overall, yeah, I thought, and like I said, after that, you see him press them on what a Palestinian's supposed to do. So I think he was trying to be neutral. I think that was a moment where he was certainly not. All right, so it's the talk of the festival. It's the talk of the festival. Everybody was talking about how unprofessional they are. All right, so Trigonometry, they were basically the ringers for this festival. The actual producers of this festival were Desha Milla and Winston Marshall, who just did that debate at the Oxford Union with Nancy Pelosi, but best known for his work with Mumford & Sons, perhaps. But I got an interview with both of them. Will, in the second part of this segment, will show the full interviews with both of them. They're short, about 5-6 minutes. But this is the relevant part regarding Brianna. They do not seem like they feel that her behavior was unprofessional or disgraceful or the talk of the festival. Let's see what they said about it.
Look, I have a history of putting on events like this. I always invite people from all walks of life. And you saw, we had Brianna Joy Gray yesterday, and that was very contentious debate. I will always invite people that I fundamentally disagree with. That's the whole point. The challenge is presenting a reason for them to come, because a lot of them see this as, well, what am I getting out of it? I'm in this camp, and everything I'm saying is validated. Why would I go here? That's why I have a lot of respect for Brianna for coming yesterday and having that debate, being very lively.
It was hard to get people. I thought Brianna Joy Gray was very brave.
She was.
To come, because it was, as the vote before her panel suggested, it was a more pro-Israel room.
Yeah.
I would have had more for sure. It was hard to find those voices. but they are.
They were
from my point
afraid
of
to
view-
go into the lion's den.
From my point of view, they're welcome here.
Okay. All right.
So those are
Does
the
that-
organizers who she allegedly threw a microphone at.
Yes, those are the actual organizers of the event. It seems like Trigonometry, they put them out front as the face of the event because they're much better known than they are, but they were the actual co-founders of this event. They were actually running this event. They opened the weekend, they closed the weekend. That does not seem like I didn't ask them about Brianna. They both spontaneously volunteered how brave she was for going to that room, which is acknowledging that the room had an inherent right-wing bias. Otherwise, what was brave about it? If this were a real open dialogue of all different points of view, why would people on the left need to feel that way? And Winston, and they both kind of indicated this, but Winston got more into it, how it was hard for them to get people on the left. And I think that's probably true because I don't want to disclose a private conversation, but Brie, I could tell you they had to make it worth it to her to do it because she did not want to do it at first.
That's all the more reason why she would not throw a microphone at the organizers who signed her check.
Exactly. So, I believe that's probably true, that a lot of people on the left might have looked at the guest list. So fuck this, right? Now, I mentioned this last time. We've never shown the full interviews, which we'll do on the other side of the segment. We've never shown the full interviews with the organizers. Listen, their answers were pretty reasonable to the questions I asked them. Overall, Winston in particular definitely has a right-wing bias, but at least based on the interview I did with him, he seems to want to put on a good faith festival where there's a greater diversity in voices. With Desh, I am supposed to email him names, although after the Dawkins thing, I don't know where I stand with those guys. But hey, man, if they do it next year, if they follow through with what they say, which you'll see in both interviews, they both say they want a festival that is more what I described to them, where you get Norm Finkelstein, where you would get Aaron, where you would get Max, where you would get Jimmy. Jimmy would do it in a heartbeat. If they do a festival more like that, it'll actually be a very interesting thing. This was a right-wing wank fest, where the people that they considered left were not going to challenge their overall biases. They basically they got some liberals who are against the gender stuff. That was their idea of getting people on the left.
On the left, right? Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, they're probably coding Schellenberger as being on the left, and I wouldn't define him that way. I wouldn't say he's on the right. I'd say he's has diverse opinions.
Amorphous, yeah.
Say more. It depends on the subject, right?
Yeah.
But did they bring in people? Hey, man, you're in New York. You're doing a fucking Gaza panel. I mean, I can't be sure, but I would say 98% if they asked Norm Finkelstein, he would have done it. Can you imagine if that had been Brie and Norm?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of, hey, man, nothing against that guy, but he clearly got at. It was supposed to be Nathan Robinson. So this guy probably got asked at the last minute. You can see he's holding notes. Can you imagine if that was Norm and Brie?
Oh, yeah.
Would have eaten them alive. So they did not invite people like that. Now, I take them at their word. I think you always have to take people at their word unless proven otherwise. What'll really demonstrate is if they do a second one, which they say they're going to do, and the panels are more ideologically diverse than they were this time.
Yes. And we're almost done with this piece, but we have to go here because Constantine was not done. He still had hurt feelings. So he started out a whole new thread, right? This was totally unprovoked, and this is pretty heinous. DEI Barbie, which is what he calls her, is upset. DEI Barbie, that's what he calls her, is upset. Imagine participating in a debate about Israel and Palestine, imagine answering literally zero of the questions you were asked. Imagine talking over everyone else and being disrespectful to fellow panelists and the moderator. Imagine storming off stage afterwards, screaming that everyone is racist, telling the moderator, I'm never doing this again, and throwing the microphone at the debate organizer. Imagine then complaining online that your abject failure is the fault of the organizers, moderator, and crowd. So she quote tweets, this is from the neutral moderator of a debate on Israel's genocide in Gaza. You simply cannot argue with racists. On the upside, they will expose themselves. Now, this idiot tweets back, no one cares about your race, Brianna. This isn't Harvard. So then why'd you call her DEI Barbie?
So why'd you call her DEI Barbie? Exactly. That is...
No one cares about your race. Sir, you literally just called me DEI Barbie.
Right.
These Zionists are literally
which is absurd. Because, hey, I've disagreed with some of Brianna's takes over the years. I've never accused her of being untalented. I've never accused her of not being qualified to, for her job. Like the idea that Brianna was picked because of her race, it's ridiculous. Like, why would you direct that at her of all people if you're not a racist?
Of course. Of course, he is a fucking
racist. If you get somebody who's terrible on the mic, who got thrown on the hill, you probably shouldn't go there anyway. But it just doesn't even make any sense to throw that at her.
Well, this is a buzzword, the DEI thing. Look, I think DEI serves capitalism. That's why I'm against DEI. I think it's a way of smoothing over the brutalities of the quote unquote market. Right. That's why I'm against it. I'm not against it because I'm afraid that a black pilot is going to crash my airplane. OK, that's not why I'm against it. But you notice that becomes fodder for everything. Right. You can't do a Boeing segment that's about corporate greed without a bunch of yahoos. Oh, what is DEI? Right. It's just another buzzword. Just like there's a grift element to DEI, there's a grift element to the anti-DEI. Right.
With whistleblowers dropping like flies, all describing the same thing about these planes being rushed out to meet the bottom line.
Right.
What are they all lying? They're all lying? No, it's the DEI.
Right.
No,
exactly.
and
So it's
you know
the flip
what?
Side.
That is very fitting for somebody who at least publicly represented this festival, because that's what the whole fucking festival was. It was all proving everyone who said these intellectual dark web people are just Western chauvinists looking to call everything they don't like woke. This festival proved them right. It proved them right because that's exactly what it was. It's exactly what it was. John McWhorter doesn't like the students protesting because it interferes with his John Cage 6 minutes of silence. Oh, the horror, they're woke. They're all woke. Like that. That's what the whole fucking weekend was, man. It was everything I don't like is woke. These people like Douglas Murray and Barry Weiss, all these fucking people just proved them right. That's all you were really concerned about. You were never concerned about speech. You were only concerned about the kind of speech you like, just like them. That's what you accuse them of, right? They only want to protect their own speech. Well, you have proven post October 7th that you're just the same way. It's just a question of which speech you want censored and which speech you want encouraged. And in the end, you're going to argue this movement is not racist. You're not racists. And then as soon as you're in a debate with a black woman, you go right to accusing her of being a DEI hire. You don't look too fucking white to me. What is he? Is he a DEI hire? Why? Because you got the white partners covering for you? So you're not a DEI? Did he hire you? How does that work?
Yeah, what a lowlife. I mean, what a lowlife, coward, scumbag, douchebag. I mean, it's just horrible. And it's just incredible that he comes back.
It's just apropos of nothing. It's just apropos of nothing.
Yeah.
Like that. That's where, and hey, we're always careful not to make knee-jerk accusations of racism, because that's so common now, and it's intentionally divisive, as Keaton was indicating. When we're against it, it's really for that reason, because it's deployed in a way that undermines solidarity. But yeah, I mean, why would you go right to that? Why don't you just fucking debate her? And the fact that he lied about what actually occurred.
And the fact that he lied. Yeah, he should debate her on a forum, neutral forum, no moderator. You against her. I guarantee she would mop the floor with him. So I think that would be a good thing that they should set up.
They should, but I'd be very surprised if he would agree to something like that, because she would probably take him apart. But this is just cowardly. And these were, if you want an insight into the mind of the kinds of people who were at this festival and on these panels and the kind of thing you would have heard on these panels, this is a very good illustration of what this whole weekend was like.
Yeah.
You know, when I told Brianna I was there, I was covering it for the whole weekend. She was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Like, she couldn't believe I was sitting through this entire thing. But yeah, no, very, very typical. The students have a political point of view you don't agree with. They're woke.
Right. Exactly.
They're woke. Everything's woke. Everything's DEI. You know, and this is exactly, again, it's exactly what they will accuse the woke people of, not being willing to engage in an honest debate or an honest disagreement. What is that? What he just did, other than to refuse to engage in an honest disagreement and an honest debate by throwing in that kind of label. There's just the flip side of the way overly woke people will accuse you of being a racist in bad faith. So you're calling her a DEI hire in bad faith. You're the same person. You're the same person on the other side of the spectrum.
Yep. Indeed. Fur Before Life, thank you for both making me keeping me sane and amused every week. Being aware can be lonely, but your show gets me through. Best guest host on Jimmy Dore 2. Keep it up. Free Palestine. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. GHU, Brianna Wu is executive director of Rebellion Pack. That's it, Jenks Pack. So it wasn't Wealth Pack. It was the new pack, Rebellion Pack. I knew it was something to do with Jenks, one of his outfits there. His Highness, wait, are both of the trigonometry dudes Zionists? Oh, man, I really liked it when they exposed Sam Harris. Hit it, Keaton. I did not appreciate what they had to say about Sam Harris. Thank you, His Highness. Redneck Green, I have 2 tickets to the evening show. I won't be able to make it. I'd love to give them to a couple who can go. Please email me at redneckgonegreen@gmail.com with your name and email. Love you guys. Oh, thank you, Redneck Gone Green. So see, 2 tickets just opened up. So if you want to go, Redneck Gone Green will hook you up. So there you go. Email redneckgonegreen@gmail.com. Let's see.
Yeah.
Who wants
some people are talking about trigonometry and shit. Listen, man, you had this one Pulaski, Pisati. I don't know, man. She's some kind of half-ass, not very funny fucking comedian. I guess she has a podcast. She went up there and made the joke. I wish I had filmed this. They probably won't drop that. Maybe they will. Fastasi, she said about Palestinians, God, you know, I mean, for oppressed people, I've never seen people who have so many cameras around them, right? Like that was a joke. That was the tone of this weekend.
Yeah, I believe it. Let's see. How about scumbag, douchebag, punching bag with your favorite politician's face, or scumbag, douchebag, trash bags to put our politicians where they belong? There you go. Branding that merchandise. Thank you.
People are really demanding this.
I'm looking forward to Dobular's The Douchebag Monologues opening off Broadway next year. LOL. Thank you, Kinky. That's funny. The scumbag douchebag monologues. Seamus, the evidence of our own eyes condemns the Zion Nazi rogue states of Israel and the United States, the laws of war. Thank you, Seamus. Appreciate that. All right, we'll take some super chats here. Sparky, Newsom Kushner, 24. Thank you. As an American taxpayer, I got to ask myself, I got to pay for these Zionist fantasies on the other side of the world. WTF. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. Dear Gollum, Kevin O and his ilk need to be, Thank you, dear Gollum.
Bridget Fatassi.
Oh, there you go. Faux mint dissidents. What about a business that connects practicing Jews and non-Jewish people, with the latter running errands over Shabbat? Call it Jews and Rentiles. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's funny. Golrana Marchesi, thank you for the $20. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. Brandon Guillory, member for 1 year, 12 months. That's shout out to Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. They screech whataboutism every time their own patchwork contradictory logic is shown to be based on double standards. Exactly. Hamas is the MacGuffin of the greater Israel movie. Thank you, Sparky. The real POTUS. Barack Obama was on X telling us Joey BS Gaza policy. Yeah, I saw that. That just did. We had so much to get to. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Uncommon Sense. Hey, Keaton, I completed my Jewish teaching at both NFA and Heritage Middle School back in 2005. Always appreciate the contact. See you guys on Sunday. Oh, that's awesome. Who are you then? There's a chance I might know you. I graduated NFA in 2005, and my wife Amanda went to Heritage Middle School in New Windsor. So there's a chance I know who you are. See you Sunday. All right, that'll be fun to meet you. I might recognize you. Thank you. The Riddler is actually Michael Moynihan. He actually interviewed Brianna a while back. He used to work for Vice News and Reason. I wanted to debate Dave Smith next. Moynihan would lose his shit. Yeah, I don't doubt that. John Fries, no offense to Plato, but it seems like Western imperialism still tries to hold up Greco-Roman culture as superior to the Persians and Muslim culture. Russell, do you have any thoughts about the transition of Greek culture from city-states to Alexander the Great's empire?
Okay, now repeat it. I think I might have been kicked out of the Dissident Dialogues app.
Oh yeah, Russell, do you have any thoughts about the transition of Greek culture from city-states to Alexander the Great's empire?
Man, it was all downhill when they moved away from man-on-man love.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, not really. My thoughts on Greece as a whole is, you have this vision of Greece, and I've gone back and forth with Jose about this a little bit. People have a very idealized vision of these societies. They were primarily slave societies. Greece was actually much worse than Rome. If you were a slave, you could never gain citizenship, unlike in Rome. In Rome, you would be it was customary for the owner of slaves to free them in their will. In Greece, there was no such thing. Once you had that status, it was a mark of Cain forever. Also, these Spartans, you see the movie. Oh, we are Sparta. Okay. I didn't know this until I went to Greece because I studied Greece before I went. I didn't know this about their history. You know why the Spartans were so fucking tough? You know why the Spartans were such good fighters? Because their whole society was based on exploiting the Helots, who were basically their slaves. They had the majority of the population were Helots, and they had to give tribute to the Spartans. And they tried to keep them in a state of virtual starvation. If you were, after you got your training, you got brought into kind of like a Spartan gang, like in the mob, like a crew, like you became part of a group. A fraternity would maybe be a better way to put it. And if your Helots got too fat, they would beat you because you're treating them too well. So this is the idealized democratic state. So when you're talking, and this is true throughout history, when we talk about the great ideas of a civilization, when we talk about the great accomplishments of a civilization, you're usually really talking about a society that only existed for the very upper crust of that society, whereas most people were slaves or peasants or serfs supporting that intellectual ferment, supporting the material prosperity that created the leisure time for that.
Quintessential Hitler expansionism explicitly inspired by U.S. Chomsky says U.S. founders motivated by fear Brits would abolish slavery, ban expansion beyond Appalachians. The RFK endorsement on the Schiller Institute website was specifically for an August 23rd peace rally and is part of the public record of the event. Removing it would be dishonest. Some obsessed activists are unhappy. Too bad. Charles Gracia. Okay, are you with the LaRouchers? I'll have to look at that. By calling her DEI Barbie, says Tusker, is he claiming that the organizers used DEI by inviting her? No, they did they had to sweeten the deal for her. No, that was just a mindless dig from a fucking mental midget fuckface.
I mean, it shows you who these people are.
Yeah.
That he went there. Like, and the whole thing. I'm sorry. What a little fucking bitch. What a little bitch. You gotta lie. You gotta lie. I just showed the organizers. Does that seem? Look, man. Even if they wanted to be professional and not talk about that on camera, you'd get a vibe. You'd get a certain indication, or they wouldn't talk about her. I didn't ask about her. They both volunteered how brave she was and how great that was.
Yeah, exactly.
If that really
he
happened,
didn't set her up for that.
she was crying, which I am telling you, I was there. She was not crying. The microphone, I can't speak to, but it's very unlikely given that he lied about the rest.
Exactly. All right, we'll move on. Russell, do we want to do those long form videos?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, we'll just full screen and sit back and talk about it afterwards now.
Yeah,
sure.
So just set this up because we're going to start a new clip here.
Okay,
do it the way the business demands. Yeah.
Okay, so after 2 days of specimens of humanity like Richard Dawkins and John McWhorter and these fucking scumbag douchebags, Eli Lake and Konstantin Kisin, who were in the Gaza panel with Brie, I caught up with the organizers and I asked both of them pretty much the same questions, but the main thing I wanted to know is why there was no real representation of an anti-woke left, which is what I would consider our show. And like I said, man, I mean, their answers were not terrible. We'll see if they meant them. But let's take a look. We'll just play this through and talk about it afterwards.
Yep.
We have here the organizer himself of the Dissident Dialogues. Can you tell people who you are and a little bit about you?
All right, my name is Desha Miller. I am the co-founder of Dissident Dialogues along with Winston Marshall.
Okay, and so you called it Dissident Dialogues. What is it dissident against?
Well, don't read too much into the name. If you were to really look at it, today we had one true dissident, Marcy, but we're trying to create a platform here for ideas. You know, it's a place for dangerous ideas.
Okay. So I felt like the kind of, silent but deadly hanging over the entire event was we are right in the middle of a crackdown on student protests, the likes of which we have not seen since the Vietnam era. Are those students dissidents?
I believe they believe that, and you can, by going against what you believe as oppression, unjust wars, I think they truly believe that. I think there can be debates on platforms like Dissident Dialogue to really look into whether it is truly a dissident act. But I wouldn't judge them for that. But I think most of them, I mean, when you see their passion, they truly believe that they are fighting the good, just fight, and they are being dissident. Now, whether they're dissidents, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter. I don't think.
Okay, now I'm going to give you a sticky one. Now, there is kind of a war that has erupted among civil libertarians about this, particularly on the right. You have Matt Walsh fighting with Greg Abbott. You have Candace Owens fighting with her former employer, Ben Shapiro. You have John Knowles also coming out and getting into conflict with them. Do you come down on any particular side, which seems to roughly be people who are saying, hey, if we believe in speech, this is speech, we can't be hypocrites, and people are saying, no, this isn't what we meant by speech?
Yeah, I mean, free speech absolutism is a sticky subject, right? And I want to make this very clear. I'm not a public intellectual. I help public intellectuals and people with smart ideas to get their voices heard far and wide. So I don't really pick a side with regards to any of the names you've mentioned. I've read their stuff, and I tend to ground my decisions on reason, rationality, and compassion. And if somebody's making an argument that fits in that category, chances are I'll be there.
Okay, now you're planning on doing this again,
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if you saw what happened, people seem to be very happy, incredible reception, definitely doing it next year.
All right, so now you say you're not really an intellectual in this space. This isn't really what you do. All right, so our channel is called Do Dissident, so we were almost destined to be here. Now, the way I always describe us is the anti-woke left. Now, to watch this event, you would get the impression that there's nobody who thinks what's happening in genocide is what's happening in Gaza is genocide, who also thinks men don't belong in women swimming. But we're out there. Jimmy Dore very much fits that category. We're in Norman Finkelstein's town today. His last book was all about Ibram X. Kendi and ripping apart that whole and very effectively ripping it apart. Do you feel it's an oversight not to have people like this at Dissident Dialogues, and would you invite them next year?
Oh, look, I have a history of putting on events like this. I always invite people from all walks of life, and you saw, we had Brianna Joy Gray yesterday, and that was very contentious debate. I will always invite people that I fundamentally disagree with. That's the whole point. The challenge is, though, is presenting a reason for them to come, because a lot of them see this as, well, what am I getting out of it? I'm in this camp, and everything I'm saying is validated. Why would I go here? That's why I have a lot of respect for Brianna for coming yesterday and having that debate, being very lively. And I will continue to invite. So this year we had 2 days, little about 16 hours, over 35 speakers. There's only so many we can cram in. So next year, hopefully more days. We'll see. Time will tell.
Tell the people who you are, what you do, your wild Mumford & Son days. Tell us about what happened in hotel rooms. Want to hear about
We're at the close of the Dissident Dialogues Festival in Brooklyn at the Debacle Greenhouse. We've just had 2 days of leading debates and discussions, everything from Ayan Hirsi Ali debating Richard Dawkins on her new conversion to Christianity and his aversion to Christianity. We've had a fiery, spicy debate on the Israel-Hamas war, and we've had debates on feminism, on humanism, talks from the Uyghur Muslims and the genocide that they're going through at the moment in Xinjiang. We've had people from all over the world. People have come from Alaska, from Chicago, from Saudi Arabia, from New Orleans, from Ireland, from London. I met a couple from Berlin. I can't quite believe it. So hundreds and hundreds of people here. It's just been quite magical. I'm completely exhausted. You're interviewing me now. I'm exhausted.
I'm sure you are.
But it's been really quite a special couple of days.
Okay, so now you called it Dissident Dialogues. What is it dissident against?
We probably chose the wrong name there. I mean, we did have some people who were dissidents. I would say Masih Alinejad is a literal dissident, the Iranian activist. Ayan Hirsi Ali is a literal dissident, once in the Muslim Brotherhood, then New Atheist, now Christian. I think it's used synonymously, probably wrongly, but inaccurately, but I think it is used kind of like heterodox is used, so I think we see it like that. I think the main ambition of this festival is diversity of opinion, which we could have done better on, but I hope that that's what the future will be. I think that we want more diversity of opinion, more differing views, and I hope this can be a place where everyone is welcome and it doesn't become a new echo chamber.
Well, okay, so it's interesting you brought that up. I would call our channel the anti-woke left. And I must say I felt we were underrepresented at the festival.
Fair enough. Yeah,
One would definitely get the impression from the festival that everybody who thinks Gaza is a genocide also thinks men should be swimming against women. And those are not necessarily the same people.
No, I think that there were some anti-woke left. I think Kathleen Stock or not Mary Harrington, I think that if you listen to the liberalism panel, Nick Gillespie, I guess or Freddie Sayers, in an American sense, they wouldn't say they're progressive, but they're definitely liberal rather than conservative. So if you mean the anti-woke Marxist left, that would be possibly, that would have, yeah, I'd agree that was underrepresented. And I hope that we can remedy that in the future. Oh, I would say Brianna Joy Gray is
Brianna, yes,
but
definitely. That's what the panel was about.
Yeah, it was about, yeah, it was, yeah, the panel wasn't, yeah.
You have people, I guest host sometimes for Jimmy Dore. He would represent that extremely well.
Something for next year.
Something for next year. I was talking to Desh about that. I'm going to send him a list of people. You've got Norman Finkelstein lives in New York. I don't know if you're going to do it here again. Norman Finkelstein is a fascinating speaker. You have Aaron Mate from Gray Zone lives in New York. So there are a lot of very intelligent, articulate
There's a lot of
people.
We could do this every day and have a new lineup. There's
Absolutely.
A lot of talent.
So that kind of brings us to right now, this is occurring as you're having the biggest crackdown on students since the Vietnam War. Are those students dissidents?
I think you could argue that. Yeah, why not? How would you define dissident? I mean, it's a word, I'm not sure I even know exactly how to define it. But yeah, they're being dissident. I guess they are being dissident, yeah.
Okay, finally, the hardest question I'm going to ask you. All right.
They would be welcome, by the way.
What's that?
I would have them speak here.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can I ask you, and look, man, I'm a theater guy. It's a little different, but it's related. I understand a million moving parts. So is that why there wasn't anyone from that camp? Because I'm sure there were students that would have spoken.
It was hard to get people. I thought Brianna Joy Gray was very brave.
She was.
To come because it was, as the vote before her panel suggested, it was a more pro-Israel room.
Yeah.
I would have had more for sure. It was hard to find those voices, but they
were afraid to go into the lion's den.
From my point of view, they're welcome here.
Okay. All right. So you've had this civil war erupt among civil libertarians, particularly on the right. You got Matt Walsh versus Greg Abbott. You've got Candace Owens versus Ben Shapiro. Where you've got some people, it seems, around this issue of Israel, it portrayed a split on what might be called the anti-woke civil libertarians. Do you come down on any side of that argument? Because you got people like Matt Walsh, who is definitely a Christian conservative, an avowed Christian conservative.
I've got to be honest, I actually haven't followed that stuff very closely, so I don't feel equipped to comment on that. Although I would say from afar, it seems like some people on the right are giving up their free speech principles, but I just don't know the topic enough that I feel like I can give a fair answer.
All right, that's fair. Anything you want people to know?
Just that I think something special happened here, and I would say thank you for covering it and reporting on it, and hopefully we'll do it again next year.
Okay. So, I can't guarantee this. I may have been knocked out of the Dissident Dialogues app, or they could have shut it down. I mean, it's weeks after the festival now. But they did ask me this week if we had done any coverage, and so I, in fairness, I sent them the links. I can't imagine they were happy with the coverage I sent them, so you never know. But hey, man, Desh did say to send them names, which I will do, and we will see. I feel like you can't prejudge people for an action they haven't taken. Who knows if they'll actually do a second one? As I said, the clips aren't making money. I don't know how much they were depending on that to make this worth their while, or how much they were making the money off the door. Because while they did charge a lot, this would have been an expensive event. Renting out the Dougal greenhouse right in hipster Navy Yards over there, I'm sure it cost an arm and a leg, the whole camera crew that they had to pay for. So I don't know if it was profitable. I don't know if Trigonometry, they might have invested. I could swear I heard, I don't even know their names, the British guy in Trigonometry. I think I heard him basically say on stage that, they were at best breaking even on this. So who knows if they'll do it again. If they do it again, look, I mean, Winston was willing to say the student protesters were dissidents. Based on my conversation with Brianna, I'd have to say there's some credibility to what he's saying, that they had a hard time getting people on the left to do this. I also think they're in their bubble. I honestly don't think it occurred to them to ask someone like Jimmy or to ask someone like Norm. I really don't. Like, I think they thought in their world, in their circle.
They think, basically TERFs are as far left as they'll go.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. TERFs are their idea of left.
Exactly.
So inviting like people from the gray zone, like, I don't even think that's on their radar. Now, like I said, between the Dawkins thing and the way we've covered this, they might not be too happy with us at this point. Who knows? If they're really as dissident as they say, they should support our speech, but I suspect they're not, given that they were both very confused about how to answer the question of why they called it Dissident Dialogues. And deferred to people they had speak, or dissidents from countries that the State Department is hostile towards. That was what they described as dissident. Those are the real dissidents. So we'll see, man. I'll send them that list. Like I said, I'm not just going to beat up on them to beat up on them. Those answers were not unreasonable. Desh was more evasive about committing himself to anything. But then again, if you're going to say, I'm a civilian, I'm not a public intellectual, I organize events for profit. Okay. Now, Winston does put himself out there. He just debated at the Oxford Union.
Right.
And he did commit himself more than Desh did. So, hey, we'll see. We'll see if they follow through. If there's a second one, we'll see if it's less of a wank fest.
All right. Yeah. Glad we got those interviews out. We've been sitting on them for a bit. And we'll have more to come as they drop more stuff, for sure. Christos, not only you guys haven't accused Brie, but Keaton has complimented her IQ many times, like when he said, here is Brie's lawyer thing kicking in. Well, yeah, and I think that is in areas where I have disagreed with her. I think it's because she has that very competitive lawyer streak in her, which you could see. I mean, when you interact with people like that on a daily basis, yeah, that can certainly bring that out of you. That's always been kind of my figuring of it.
Well, look, some of the things I've disagreed with her on, I've disagreed with in language that was stronger than I wish I had used. But to say DEI hire, like, you're a fucking racist. Like, why would you why would your mind even go to that? Why do you have to go there? It says something about you.
Oh, of course. Let's see here. The China Shill, Brianna Wu, is one of the reasons that games suck so bad. She makes money by telling them to put a woman in it and make her a black and trans. Yeah, somebody else said she was.
Is that her deal? Like, I know nothing about her.
Winston Marshall dressed like Christopher Lloyd in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. LOL. Half expected him to dip a cartoon shoe in paint thinner, or that Nazi in Raiders of the Lost Ark whose face melted. Thank you, the People Infinite. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Find out where you stand on the political compass and take the test with a dash of healthy skepticism in mind, from Seamus Warren. Thank you. Appreciate that. Is the word neoliberal just lipstick on a fascist war pig? Thank you, Seamus Warren. Okay, we will take some more super chats here. If Keaton debates him, he'll do a much better job than Brie, in my opinion. I don't know about that. I think she'd do pretty good. Brianna Wu was an SJW cancel culture advocate who made a name during Gamergate. Now she's a rabid Zionist who makes excuses for genocide simulation. Okay. Thank you, Worskill. Appreciate that.
Yeah, in other words, she's what would pass for a leftist at Dissident Dialogues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. Heather Goes Rogue. Will you be covering the Dave Smith, Chris Cuomo debate on the PBD podcast? It was epic. Please say yes. It was long. I have to watch the whole thing. I started watching it. I didn't get through nearly half of it, actually. But yeah, that might be something for Wednesday. For sure. It's on my radar. I just got to finish it. It was quite long. SB, if it's anything, Trigonometry got defeated on their own channel by Dr. Finkelstein. Yeah, I know they interviewed him. They're just failed comedians grifting on the right. Thank you, SB.
I didn't know Constantine was also a comedian. I knew the other one.
The other guy. Yeah. The Peopled Infinite, more like Constantine kissing Israel's bum, LOL. Thank you. Peopled Infinite has jokes on both platforms tonight. Both platforms,
Boom.
Rumble and YouTube. Plato seems like a good guy, says John Fries. I'm interested in how the Greek Empire was in many ways a response to being beaten by the Persian Empire.
Okay, so you are going to really enjoy one of our panels because, Jose and I go back and forth a lot about this because we're boring like that. Because after touring Greece and Rome and so on, I came away from it going to Venice, Florence, looking at these great civilizations that were all built on exploitation. I came away really asking the question, can you achieve this level of civilization without exploitation? I was in India last year. I mean, it's the same story anywhere you go in the world, a master class and a slave class. And that's true today too. You got wage slaves, but it's the same thing. So my question is, can you achieve civilization at that level without exploiting anybody? Now, one thing I have picked up is that the LaRouche people do embrace this love of classical civilization and the classical Western culture. And so Jose has argued, yes, based on classical civilization, which what I respond to Jose is, but they were slave societies. So that is going to be one of our panel discussions at the live show. We're going to get into that. So check it out.
Yes, check it out. That's right. RBGH fam, the 3 horsemen and 1 horse's ass. Thank you for that. So the dissidents they invited, says Tusker, were the dissidents of other countries that happened to be the United States' enemies. Very dissident. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's exactly what it was.
Yep.
It's exactly what it was. Yes. There was not one person who really had anything negative to say about the actual country the festival was being hosted in.
Yeah, exactly. DD guys, dissident equals South Park goths nonconformist. Yeah, it's one interpretation.
Yeah, basically.
I suspect they are limited in the people from the left as they have to accommodate pre-booked people from the right, probably why Norm Finkelstein wasn't there. Thank you, P. Walker. Donald, grab him by the pussy. Trump says, please have Brianna Joy Gray on your show. We asked her if she wanted to come on tonight. She didn't want to get into this anymore. I think she was a little burnt out.
She didn't want to feed it. But we have been going back and forth with her, so hopefully we will eventually make that work.
Indeed. All right, folks, we got a couple more Super Chats and a couple more Rumble rants to read. We are doing one more segment before we switch over to Rumble for the Q&A. These shows are going to run slightly longer than usual this week because we're only doing 3 of them. No show Thursday, no show Sunday this week because we will be doing live events on both of those days. So we got one more for you tonight. Donald Trump, hey, here's some news. Donald Trump was found guilty on 34 counts of not doing the books right or whatever.
I heard something about that.
Yeah, here is something where he paid Stormy Daniels not to say anything about what they, of course, didn't do. And then he didn't mark it down right in the bookkeeping.
Hang on, the 34 counts isn't for the 34 seconds it took him to finish with Stormy Daniels.
Right, one for each second. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, he was found guilty on 34 counts of taking more than 1 second to finish with Stormy Daniels. 34 different counts, each carrying a maximum sentence of 4 years. So here's Trump put out this video after the verdict.
Battle, the final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media, and we will liberate America from these villains once and for all.
Text Trump.
Well, I'm sold.
To 88022. Well, apparently that worked. Trump campaign says it raised $52.8 million after guilty verdict in fundraising blitz. CBS News reports former President Donald Trump's campaign and the Republican Party raised $52.8 million in the first 24 hours after Trump was convicted on 34 felony counts in his hush money trial, the campaign said Friday, a staggering total that represents more than half of what they raised in the entire month of April. The campaign said the Thursday's sum mostly came from small-dollar donors, including 30% who were new contributors to Win Red, the GOP's fundraising platform. Fundraising totals can't be verified until the campaign's reports to the FEC are released next month. So we'll have confirmation on this. But a CBS News analysis of the Trump campaign's fundraising through April found he has received an influx in donations following key moments in his legal battles. Before his conviction on Thursday, FEC filings show Trump's two best fundraising days were April 4th, 2023, when he was arraigned in New York City. That was the famous Cowbell Day. And August 25th, 2023, the day after his mugshot was released in his separate criminal case in Georgia. Trump's fundraising also spiked when he was indicted by federal grand juries in Florida in June 2023 and Washington, D.C. in August 2023. He likewise saw a bump when a different judge in New York ordered him to pay $454 million in fines and interest in his civil fraud case in February. Between his conviction and the hush money case, and Friday afternoon, Trump's team spent at least $94,900 on ads on Facebook and Instagram, more than double what the campaign spent in the week leading up to the trial's conclusion, according to data from the Meta ad library. The ads paint Trump as a political prisoner and say Thursday was a dark day in America. I was just convicted in a rigged trial, many of the ads begin. Trump railed against the trial as rigged and called the charges a scam in remarks at Trump Tower on Friday. The ads direct users to Win Red, a Republican fundraising site that crashed minutes after the verdict. The campaign said the technical failure was caused by the swell of traffic to the site. Trump's campaign and the Republican Party raised roughly $76 million in April, surpassing the monthly total brought in by President Biden and the Democratic Party for the first time this election cycle. FEC filings showed Democrats have more cash on hand, but an influx of donations following his conviction could help Trump catch up. Trump's ads in the wake of the verdict echo the theme of his rhetoric throughout the trial, that the charges against him were part of a politically motivated effort by Democrats to weaken his campaign. One of his most widely viewed ads prior to his conviction repeated the falsehood that the trial was spearheaded by the Biden administration, when in fact it was a state case, prosecuted by the Manhattan DA. Not as Democrat aligned as Joe Biden, right? Well, it's in New York, right? Down the middle. So he's found guilty. He releases that ad along with some other social media ads, raises $52 million. Today, Eric Trump said their number is up to $70 million. They really turned this into a major cash haul. It seems as if he will not go to jail before November. That seems almost impossible. It looks like the judge is not even going to sentence him any jail time. Sentencing will be July 11th, which is 4 days before the Republican National Convention, after which Trump will certainly file an appeal, which pushes the process until not just after November, but well into next year. Yeah. And so essentially, this was a conviction that may mean something to some voters. My guess is it'll make some voters less likely to vote for him. Those nice old Nikki Haley supporting ladies who I talked to in New Hampshire, they're a little normie. For a convicted felon, they might get a little cold feet. But then some independents are going to be more inclined to vote for him because of this.
Yes.
And I think most people, this won't really change their mind either way. So I think this will have very little effect on the outcome of the race. It might even help him a smidge. I think the number of people who are going to be swayed by this is so small. I think some people it'll turn off those ultra normie, white affluent country club sort of moderates. But then a lot of independents will say, you know what, fuck this. This isn't fair. I'm voting for him. So I think it'll end up to be about a wash. But in the short term, it has definitely been a fundraising boon.
Yeah. If you're like me, you know enough libs that you knew exactly what was coming as soon as this verdict came down, and they did not disappoint with their celebrations. And it just reminds me of the whole Hillary's gonna win and bring Texas with her. They're so blind, they're so clueless. Who would this really persuade? Versus who it actually is going to make so angry that they decide to vote for Trump as a matter of principle.
Yeah,
as a matter of principle. I saw it. There was a guy with a shirt at the MAGA rally. I caught a shot of it. I should have lingered on it longer in the supercut. That said, "I like Trump because he pisses off everyone I hate."
Right.
That has always been the secret sauce with him. This only helps him with the people who are inclined to vote for him anyway. And hey, there's a credible argument to be made here, more than credible, that this is at best selective prosecution. As many people have been pointing out, Hillary's campaign was accused of using campaign funds as well to pay for the Steele dossier and not disclosing it. And they got a fine. They got a fine. They didn't fucking put her through this whole trial. The Justice Department decided not to try this case. Cyrus Vance, the previous DA, decided not to try this case. Alvin Bragg specifically ran on trying this case. And one of the Trump people I interviewed, the Jamaican guy, made that point. He said, I don't think, now there's a freedom of speech issue, but the sentiment was there. He said, I don't think it should be legal for you to run to put somebody in jail. Now, of course, that has to be legal under the First Amendment, but his point is valid. Like, hey, man, what is that? You're running to prosecute this guy? Like, isn't justice supposed to be blind? Like,
of course.
Of
course.
You're running on the premise you have it in for this guy. Like, that's part of your campaign pitch. Like, there is something deeply wrong with that. And how could Trump get a fair trial in a city where that's a good platform to run on, that you want to put the former president in jail? So did he do this shit? Yeah, of course he did. Yeah, he nailed her and he paid for her not to talk about it. There's no doubt in my mind that that's true. But would they have prosecuted this if he were not Donald Trump? If he were a Democrat in New York? Not in a million fucking years. And when you look at the kinds of crimes that previous presidents have been guilty of that are far more substantial than banging a porn star and paying hush money, and none of them ever got tried. None of them ever went to jail. Max Blumenthal tweeted out, I thought was great, that Dick Cheney is laughing somewhere in Wyoming that he's going to die rich, having seen his daughter made a hero by the Democrats while Donald Trump is a convicted felon. That's it. Like, even if you think he's guilty, and I think technically on the facts he probably is, the selectivity of the prosecution and the dangerous precedent. I don't know why, because they lose a lot. Democrats always seem to do shit like this thinking it's never going to be used on them.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, when he wins now, I mean, forget it. They're all going to jail. All the Democrats.
The floodgates are open.
Yeah.
Hunter's going to be somebody's bitch in cell block C.
Hey, that's the least of it. He's got up and down the line, Congress, the Senate, everywhere. Yeah. I mean, and this is what they fearmonger about. It's funny. They say, well, when he's elected, he's going to take revenge on his political opponents.
Yeah, not on us.
Well, what are you talking about? But what are you doing to him now? Like, this is a form of vengeance, and it's a preventative because it is to stop him from running again. But they're not going to get there because he's not going to be in jail before November. So he's in the race. So the question is, how does this play politically? My guess is not very much on either side. If anything, it's probably a tiny net gain.
I think it helps them.
Yeah. A very little. I don't think it helps them a lot because I think most people already feel a certain way about this, right? And some normies are going to be turned off, but then you're going to have some independents who.
How many normies were voting for him anyway, though?
That's the thing. It's a very small number. That's what I'm saying. It's a very small number.
Like the people who care about this, they're already your dumb lib relatives.
Yeah, and just very, very apolitical people. I mean, there's fewer and fewer of them left. But I think it'll cost him some votes, but I think it'll gain him some votes.
I think it'll gain him more than it loses.
Yeah, probably. That's my money's on that as well. All right, Carrie Scott, thanks for the $10. Elevating escalation, starvation, and dehydration without remediation. Get DC in the streets, Biden hiding, genocide and provided and relying on lying lies in front. All eyes cease protest on, suggest and face arrest. Thank you, Carrie. That was a good one. SB, by the way, half of those dissidents the producer mentioned are frauds. The Iranian girl supports Israel. Yeah, Hirsi Ali lied about her backstory. Max exposed her. Thank you, SB.
Oh, is that true? I didn't even know that.
Men wear pants now, so Persians beat the Greeks. Thank you. Let's see here. Seamus Warren, the word dissidents refers to the expression of a disagreement or opposition to prevailing ideas, policies, or structures, especially within a political or social context. Yes, thank you. Dissidence often applies a persistent state of dissent where individuals or groups challenge or resist the established order or authority. Thank you.
Which is exactly what they were not doing at that festival.
He's now Trump. Grab him by the Percy, as in coin purse. That was a stretch, I know. Yes, thank you, people Infinite. Appreciate that. Seamus Warren, Trump prosecuted for a very bizarre crime that only exists in New York State. Former judge. Oh, with a Rumble link. Thank you for that. Trying to show you shouldn't run on putting someone in jail while voting for the lock her up guy. Thank you, China Shill. Appreciate that. Stoop sign says Trump.
That's a fair point.
Indeed. Trump's entire appeal is to be a fake everyman. The court system in the U.S. is rigged against the everyman. This is like the Washington Generals charging the Globetrotters for dunking. Fans love dunks. Thank you, Stoop sign. Good point. Indeed. All right. We got, let's see over here. Paid players are in demand. Trump wins. Hunter Biden better leave the country. Thank you. Yes. Good idea. All right, folks, that is our show. We are going to be going to Rumble now for the after party Q&A. So thank you guys all very much for being here tonight. We appreciate you. Thank you, Jake, in the booth, for being here, Jake, and for helping us out this evening. But don't leave yet. If you want to come hang out, there will be a 5-minute intermission after the main show, and then an after party Q&A on Rumble. Patrons, paid Substackers, paid Locals members will have call-in access. Everybody else, you're welcome to stay and hang out and watch along. That's the link there, dudissidents.com/Rumble. That takes you directly to this live stream over on Rumble. We will close the stream out here, take a 5-minute intermission, and then we'll see you back on Rumble for the Q&A. Phone lines are open right now. If you want to call in, call in. Now's the time, and we will see you guys after a 5-minute break over on Rumble. Thanks for being here tonight. If you're not hanging out for the Q&A, we'll see you Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be safe and be well.
Courage.
Please clap.